See, this is what I was gonna say. Are we gonna be funny first, and then you guys should have been funny,
Well,
and we could have done there. See, Gerard,
I'm not your
like
fucking
you get
monkey.
this.
I'm not just funny on command. Okay?
monkey.
All right, I want to be funny.
Get
but I
on your
wanna be funny.
unicycle
Come on, Ralph,
and pick
do
up your
jokes.
balls
Do
to
jokes.
What's the funny
juggle.
switch? Just turn on the funny
Yeah,
switch.
it's easy. Just fire it up. Sometimes it backfires.
10:30. Luckily, we can edit those moments.
I will say, if we're talking about at least funny things we experienced this weekend, Jake, you have the best photo with the Tekken guys.
Yes.
From the Tekken 8
Oh,
party.
thank you.
What's your one?
I'm
can
just
put that
like
up.
a small postured.
The two of them are
feeble man.
ripped and bleeding and muscular and
Yes.
sexy, and
I'm soft and short. Yeah, just like timid.
it's a Jake sandwich.
Never closed a fist in my life.
We're gonna send that photo to Stu so we can edit that.
Yeah,
one.
please.
Oh yeah,
Let's make sure.
definitely,
Let's make sure
definitely.
that one gets
Did
up
we
there.
all get a picture?
I did.
I got
did.
one.
Yeah.
I was more like a chieftain, kind of like.
Yeah.
I
I
did
did-
one where I was like pretending to whisper in one of
Yeah, I
their
saw
ears,
that.
and we were bitching.
That was a good one. So people listening, there was a Tekken 8 event, and there was Jin and
Kazuya.
Thank you. And they were like incredible cosplayer actor men with like perfect muscles and the crazy hair.
Yes.
And everybody was walking up and taking pictures with them, and they were really cool. I wanted to like be very polite and not like objectify them, just being like, "What's up? Let me take a picture with you."
Doing these ones.
I was
Hey,
like,
whoa,
yeah,
whoa.
I was like, "Hello, how are you? How's it going today?" You know, and they were really dope. They were really cool.
Yeah.
Love those guys.
The scary part about them is that they had even all of the veins. that
Yeah.
those
Oh
guys
my
yeah.
have.
god,
Like,
they didn't look
yeah.
real.
they didn't look real at
Well,
all.
So we saw them. We with you when we walked past them, and we were like, "Have you seen these buff guys
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the Tekken stand?" Tekken was not playable at all. By the way, this is not
No,
like.
it wasn't.
No, they
It was
gave,
literally-
they gave us
Yeah.
gold medallions for a
The beta.
alpha or a
Yeah.
beta.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that they Tekken held a party that just turned out to be Harada's birthday party.
Yeah, that's right.
And they
That's
just had
cool.
these. They had these
I
cosplayers.
wish we had known that. I would
Me
have brought Rod
What
something.
a present.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shift.
sure.
Yeah.
I put us some Tim Tams.
And we
Yeah.
walked past and like kind of
Nice.
snuck a look in, and these two amazing cosplayers were there. And we all thought they were wearing like the bodysuits
Yeah.
from Arrested
Yeah.
Development.
No, they
Yeah,
were real.
yeah.
But they were real.
They were real.
That they could really throw one another into a volcano. Like
Yeah.
absolutely.
It was all. They were also there the entire day.
Yeah.
I walked
It was
by
like
at one
Both
point.
days. Both
Both
days.
days, 9 a.m.
days.
ripped,
Yep.
shredded, cold, ready to go.
Gold,
I
yeah.
walked by one time and it was like dead because everybody was like at appointments and they were hanging out, chatting together, and like eating a bag of chips.
Wait.
And I was like, "Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah,
Is that
That's
lore
not canon.
appropriate?
Is that a
Well,
canon event? They're eating
well,
sun chips."
That part of like the Tekken Lounge, whatever it was mostly just for the party.
Yeah.
But they had them for both days, and we didn't really know
It's
you
a
could
good
go
spot
in
to
there.
post up. Yeah.
But also like they had not one but two ice sculptures.
That's true. They had an ice luge.
Oh.
the photo I am sharing, I will send to Stu as well, is these buff dudes that we're talking about sitting down playing Blue Protocol, right? So
It looks
he's
like the
literally-
meme of like Yes King, like
Yeah.
like the jacked guys at the computers.
Super, exactly right. It's exactly
so
that.
good.
It's very cute.
Oh,
man.
okay.
Welcome to the Friends Per Second podcast. We're in person.
Yay!
Yeah.
Guys, we did it. We made it a year.
We're
did.
here.
No.
1 year. 1 year.
That is
1
crazy.
year.
It's episode, despite being a year, it's only
It's
episode
23.
23.
Yep.
Yeah, that's because we are every other week, and we've been gone for a while. We're actually a little later. This is a really big episode. We're going to be talking about stuff you may have heard about a while back, but we've also played a lot of things behind the scenes at all these events, so we're talking about a ton. We're also talking to Ben Starr, the lead actor of Final Fantasy 16. He plays Clive.
He's like right on this couch.
Yeah.
Where Jake is sitting right
Yeah.
now. He
Yeah.
was here just before
Yeah.
we recorded that block first.
Yeah, we had a really good
And,
conversation.
Yeah,
So.
it was
the
really,
best.
really
I
great.
love him
Actually.
So sweet.
Yeah.
I want to be friends with him.
I think
he would like to be friends with you.
Yeah, you
Ben-
guys
Ben-
had a moment where it
Yeah.
was like, we don't
Capital
need to
G
be.
gamer.
That's
Like,
right.
I was
Ben, if you're
intimidated.
watching this now,
And he will be.
let's do a co-op game. What do you want to play? Let's
right.
do Resident Evil 5, whatever. I'm down. Let's do it.
This is how fast dudes can become best friends meme.
Just guys
Where
being
these
dudes.
guys just talking about getting trophies in
He was-
playing the
He's
games.
literally like trophies, and it's like a dog whistle to
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
It's like trophies,
What?
and then you're like
Huh?
trophies.
Yeah. Crash Team Racing Nitro? You know?
When he said that, I was like, Jesus Christ, this
Yeah, I
guy
know, right?
really is.
Even I didn't
He's
do
a
that
proper
one.
gamer.
I'm sitting there. Damn.
Yeah, so look forward to that. It's a
Sweet
good
as
chat. It's a good chat.
So with everything we have, I think we'll do a kind of a little breakdown, rundown of some of our highlights of each of the things. That's kind of what we did last year,
Yeah.
which was our first episode.
Yeah.
Wild to
So
think.
we might as well start off with the Jeff Keighley Summer Game Fest stream. Yeah, it was all right.
I thought I liked it. I think starting with that Prince of Persia game, which we are gonna talk about today.
Oh, yeah.
'cause,
Yeah.
did we all get hands on with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I got hours of hands-on
Yeah.
on it.
Oh yeah,
Lucky.
you went to.
I went
Paris.
to Montpellier to play it.
That's
I was
crazy.
there. I was there, and yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, for me,
I'm getting the list up too.
yeah,
I've got my list
I
here.
know there's so many.
There was a lot.
One of the biggest
Yeah.
highlights for me was, let me see that.
So this is small. This is small stuff,
Yeah.
medium stuff, big stuff.
Oh, nice.
It was nice to breathe the same air as Nicolas Cage.
Oh
That
my
was really
God.
Oh, I was so envious.
Yeah.
So we were doing like the Giant Bomb talk over, and I was in the studio, and I was like, "Oh, there's always gonna be a big guest. There's always gonna be
Yep.
something."
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you guys were there, and it was Nicolas Cage.
I know,
I'm like,
right?
"Oh," and he looked so happy to be
He-
there.
Yes,
really
he was
did.
very excited to be there.
Because Al Pacino, you could tell they kind of just pointed him on the direction of the
Yeah.
stage and shoved him out, and he's
And
like,
then-
"What? Oh, what's going on here? Huh? Can't read that."
Yeah, and then
that
they
was
cut off
it.
the teleprompter.
That's
Like, good luck.
right.
He's Al Pacino. Figure it
Yeah,
out.
yeah, that's
Serpico.
right.
Michael
but
Madsen.
what's his name? Cage was just like, he loved it. He was just up there.
Yeah.
He was just inhaling the moment.
Yeah.
With his full, like, the facial expressions and the eyebrows. And
Oh,
just
yeah.
all of it, man. It was amazing.
Looking good, too.
He looks
He
fantastic.
knew whatever he was gonna say.
I
would be
mean, I
immediate.
feel like he probably just had some bullet points in his head.
Yeah.
And then he just Nick Caged the rest. You know
Yeah.
what I
Like,
mean? Like,
imagine being in a game where you play yourself too. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
have to reach too
I mean,
much
this
there.
is the year of meta Nick Cage, right? He
Yeah.
was in that that
Oh,
movie last year.
Unbearable
Massive
Weight of
Talent?
Massive
Massive
Weight,
Talent.
yeah.
Have you
Yeah,
seen
sure.
Renfield?
No, I heard it's
awesome.
great though.
Oh,
I
good.
really liked it. Yeah. And
I
he's hamming it up. He's that scenery, bite marks all over it.
the
Oh,
nice. I like it. It's a good
The-
that's
wow,
nice phraseology.
Hell yeah.
the takeaway, honestly, for that, because I'm not like a Dead by Daylight guy,
Yeah.
and we're talking about this for too long, but I hope other publishers, developers take note because he seemed genuine.
Yes.
I've seen anecdotes out there that like he does really genuinely like some games, and I think there's more opportunity for him to actually be in something, and that like would get like
What
be
else?
a consumer. of
Fortnite.
that.
What else should he be
Fortnite.
in? Don't say Fortnite. Anything but Fortnite. What else should he be
Oh
in, Jake?
God,
Tekken 8.
He
Fall
should-
Guys.
Tekken
Fall
8.
Guys. Fall
Tekken
Guys
8,
is
dude.
really
Fall
good.
Guys
Yeah,
actually
Fall Guys is really
does work
Yeah,
quite
it's
well, to be
excellent.
honest
The
with
bees.
Perfect. Yeah, but for me, I think the big thing was Alan Wake 2.
Oh, dude.
Seeing
Oh
that
my
was
God.
very nice. Getting a snippet of gameplay.
Yeah.
Very much backing up what they've been saying about the game, where it's legit survival horror.
Mm-hmm. I'm so excited. And we'll talk about it. We all went to the behind closed doors for
Yeah,
Alan
we did.
Wake, yeah.
I didn't.
No.
You missed out, man. That was
Let
like
us tell you.
I
that was
didn't-
like the
didn't
best.
get an invite.
That was
Right.
the best part of the Playdays thing.
The craziest thing to me for Playdays, I don't know if it was the same for you guys, is that my schedule was full both days.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
And
Totally.
yet there were still things I didn't get to see
Oh
behind
yeah.
closed
There's
Yes.
a lot of
doors.
stuff there.
I was really bummed I didn't get to do Day of the Devs this year.
I did.
Which was my
It was
highlight
very good.
last year.
Yeah, it was very good. actually.
So
One of my friends, their game was in Day of the Devs, and so when I got to the booth, and I was like, "Yeah!" It was
Yeah,
so
you
cool. I
made
got to
it.
sit down and play with him. It was great.
Which game was it?
Haunty,
That's very good. That game.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
art design is top tier, actually. It's
Yeah,
like probably
the,
one of the
uh,
best looking things of the show.
director of Haunty and the musician of Haunty are good friends of mine,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it was just so fun seeing their to be there because they had no funding, they had no support, so to be here at Day of the Devs,
Yeah, that's
it's a
awesome.
huge turnaround for them.
I want to hear from you about Sonic Superstars. because you're
Yeah.
the guy.
Yeah,
you're the guy.
You guys didn't play it, get to see it at
No,
all?
they
Yeah.
wouldn't. They only were doing walk-up bookings.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was like super busy and whatever. But
Yeah.
I like watched it.
Yeah, I
I
watched
stood
it.
and watched
Yeah.
the whole thing.
It's fun. It's definitely like my game of the show, but just because by default it's the game that I get the most time with and really enjoyed. It feels very safe. It feels very, very safe for a Sonic game. It doesn't feel like it's taking any big risks like Frontiers did. It's the coolest thing I will say about it is that the Chaos Emeralds now give you individual powers. So when you get a Chaos Emerald, Sonic and friends do something cool. So if you get the blue Chaos Emerald, Sonic can create tons of avatar clones of himself, and that's like on a cooldown. Or you turn into a wisp and like can go up waterfalls. So traversal is cool for Sonic.
Yeah.
Now he's not just on the floor; he can really go anywhere. But I thought it was a good time. I think it's it's like I said, it's going to be safe. I think it's going to be a fine Sonic game.
It seems like from what I've seen, it's like it is what it is. Like it's exactly like what you from the trailer. Like it's very much that.
I would have loved it. I would have loved to have seen the version because the rumor is that the Evening Star guys, the guys who made Sonic Mania, I think I read an interview that they were the ones that were supposed to work on this game, and they did not.
But then they had their falling out with Sega, didn't they? They had like
something went down, and they were supposed to work on that game, and now they're not. So this is I don't remember the name of the studio. It's called Astro Studios. I think they're associated to the original team that worked on Sonic in some capacity. So original team, and supposedly Jun Sonoy and T. Lopes are working together on the soundtrack. So it should be good. Sonic games always have good music.
My only problem is I like big Sonic, not little Sonic. I like my Sonic with like legs and arms and like, you know, 6-pack. I mean, he doesn't have a 6-pack, like tall Sonic, but like
you want Sonic.
What the hell Sonic have you been looking at?
Hang on. As someone who's not a Sonic pervert, what the hell does that mean?
There's little Sonic, and he's like
classic
got, like,
Sonic and modern.
Yeah,
Sonic.
he's cute. He's got his little tummy.
Okay.
And then there's regular
what
Sonic,
you
who's a
mean.
little more lanky.
Yeah,
I get you.
Cool dude with the attitude.
Don't make a face.
I mean, honestly, we in all the talkovers. Tam just pulled up some
nice.
Sonic.
That's
some lovely Sonic deviant art right there.
Yeah, excellent.
Sonic and Shadow.
When we were going through, especially the Xbox Showcase, you know how sometimes inadvertently E3, Key 3, Summer Game Fest, there are kind of phases. We definitely realized that this year was all about big boys and little freaks.
Example?
Literally any game. So Fable.
Literally any game.
Oh, like a giant in
Fable, big
Giant.
boy,
Sure.
little freaks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh shit. There were big boys, little freaks in Alan Wake. Big boys, little freaks in Tam. Help me out. Star Wars.
Yeah, true.
Oh, the game where the skeleton guy playing guitar, then it's revealed that he's a big boy.
He's a big boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the little freaks.
Well, he's
Yeah,
a
you're
big
right.
freak.
That's
He's a
South
zombie.
South of
Compulsion
Midnight.
games.
Yeah,
South of
Compulsion
Midnight.
one. So yeah, that's my big takeaway from the week.
Twisted Metal. Big guy, little freak. Does that work? Is that the same? I don't think
Yeah.
it's quite the same.
God, can we talk about
Samoa Joe and
Will
Anthony
Arnett? Just
Mackie?
like,
Oh man, it's like it was.
Hey, you know what? To his credit, it was much better than the Rocks from the year before.
Yes.
Enjoy your gaming.
It was better than that.
So my phone
It's
memories
insufferable.
is like, 1 year ago today. I just have about 7 screenshots of The Rock because I was clearly going through. I was like, the meme potential is off the charts.
Yeah. It's true. No, but the Twisted Metal clip was not.
Not him.
Didn't fill me with confidence, personally. I don't know.
Well, you were saying that it was very quiet in the room at that point.
Yeah, well, I was actually because Gerard, you were at the YouTube theater.
No, I didn't.
You missed it, you were late.
I was. The three of us had seats together.
That's right.
None of us sat together.
And none of us sat together.
I think the usher put me in the wrong section because you were in the front, right?
Yeah.
I think that's where I was meant to be because I think I remember booking the front row, basically.
We were row 6
That's what
in
I
the
thought.
middle. I because of the indie event, which I can talk about later if we want, I chose not to go because I had to prepare to host this whole indie show.
Sure.
And I kind of weighed the things and I was like, I should not.
Yeah.
As much as I want to be at the YouTube theater, I should be responsible and prepared for the show.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
So I didn't go. I watched it from home.
I was so nervous. I was like, if the camera pans on me, I'm gonna look like a loser with no friends. Because it was you weren't there, there. I had bought a ticket for you just in case.
Oh,
so it was
sorry, I
just
didn't
me and
realize.
empty chairs, and I was like, oh man,
perfect.
They were probably avoiding you on purpose.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
that's
Yeah,
right.
I smell bad. Yeah.
But no, the YouTube theater was actually quite quiet. It was really quiet
For
actually.
Twisted Metal.
No, in general, don't you think? It just didn't have a lot of energy in
Well,
that
I mean,
room.
compared to a Game Awards audience.
like even when Nick Cage was like that was a big moment, sure. But
Oh yeah.
in general,
Yeah,
I just felt like
Smaller audience, I guess.
I guess, but like I felt like there was more energy in the Ubisoft room today than there was in the YouTube theater.
Well,
Like,
for what it's
that was a
worth,
much smaller audience.
we heard the YouTube theater audience and
Yeah,
it
we did
sounded
not
full.
hear.
Okay.
The Ubisoft audience sounded like
Sure.
there was an audience behind the audience trying to throw stuff
Yeah,
at the
right,
front. Like, you
right,
could
right.
barely hear them.
That's funny.
What else was in Jeff's thing?
So just to rattle off a quick list because I've got it here in front of me. Jeff had, in terms of bigger stuff, there was obviously the Dead by Daylight reveal. There was Prince of Persia, which will come back to. Mortal Kombat, we got a big look at that.
Man,
How you feeling about Mortal Kombat?
Cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's nice that so to me, I keep comparing it to like, I like that it's almost like a comic book now, where it's like, oh, new interpretations
Sure.
of these characters that we've known the archetype of all of them forever. And now things are shaken up a little bit, and it's like,
Surprised they called it Mortal Kombat 1 instead of like Mortal
it's still-
Kombat Dimensions.
it's like not
or...
technically one, because it's going off of Fire God Liu Kang, who was set up in the last one. So obviously it's like him writing a new universe, but it's a little like you definitely should play the story of the last one to know what's going on. But I think it's just really cool and bizarre to see it, and I played it too, but it's so colorful and so like bright. And then
is,
much brighter than previous titles.
And then,
for
but then they
sure.
went like triple down on the gore too. So it's just got this weird tone to it that's like so different than the other games. Where playing it, it's like if you've played the last couple of modern ones, like you get the gist mostly.
Yeah,
but the cameo stuff is pretty intense. It's actually a little more layered than just each one you hit a button and they jump in and do a cool thing. You press a direction on the button and they'll do different attacks. You have to time them properly, and like the characters can actually so like I had Jax with me and I couldn't figure out how to like use Jax properly, and I'm like, come on Jax, come out, and then like Sub-Zero just punched him and he was like, oh no, and he like ran away, and I was like, no wait, you're supposed to just come in and do your thing. So there's a lot to it, and even like the animations and stuff, I love it. Like when Kano comes in, Kano like will push your character out, like get out of my way, you know. Sorry,
that's actually the one time you've done a half decent train. Actually.
Thank you.
So that's
It's
good.
when I'm quick.
Oh,
That's
That's right. The Jax when he does one like a successful attack as he's walking off the stage,
what?
he's like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I love it.
So I love that as well. It was really nice. I actually played that for like maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah, me too.
Played it with Susie, actually, Sphere Hunter. Basically dumpstered her for 45 minutes straight. That was a good time. So shout out to Susie on the podcast. Thank you very much.
He literally walked out and he just started telling people. He's like,
She
beat
walked
Susie.
in. She walked in so confident. That's right. And then the night before that, she was bullying me all night long. So I felt vindicated.
I don't want to throw any more shade towards Susie under the bus, but in the Street Fighter 6 closed beta for the reviewers, she was one of the only people on there playing, and I whooped her butt. Sorry, Susie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now who's getting bullied, Susie?
Sorry, she's in
Now who's getting
Cyberpunk.
bullied.
She's
Yeah, I was
fine.
gonna say.
She's in Cyberpunk.
I played
She's
Cyberpunk and we found her, and she's fucking excellent in it. So
That's very cool.
Congratulations, Susie.
That's a very cool cameo. Yeah.
with a K.
Toxic Commando was another potentially cool one where
The John Carpenter.
yes, so specifically because John Carpenter, like, that's cool, but John Carpenter's also like every interview he does, he's always just like, I just want money. Like, he's super honest, and like I like that. So I always think of that. But the trailer started off just kind of like whatever, and then once they showed what it is, I was like, oh, okay, cool, because it reminds me of like a canceled game called Dead Rush for like the PS2 era that was centered around driving a car through a zombie apocalypse, and the car would break down and zombies would attack it, and you'd have to fix it and keep going. And it kind of gave me that vibe, but now it's more of like a first-person shooter where it seems like the truck will actually get stuck in the mud, and there's like mud deformation, and you have to worry about like pulling the car out of the mud, but stressing that you're being swarmed by zombies. Like, it just seems like a fun spin on that like 4-player zombie thing. You know, it needs a little revitalization.
Yeah, I don't know that one. I don't know. It's just like
me?
me. I mean, like
I don't know. It's hard. It's easy to get swept up in not nostalgia bait, but whenever a trailer has like an 80s track or a 90s track that I love, I immediately either feel like, oh, they got me with that song, or like, I freaking hate that song. Why are they playing that? And for this one, I was kind of right down the middle. I was like, I don't need to. And also, not to throw shade towards Ubisoft, we don't need like bombastic rap music in all the game trailers. Just
that was very bad.
I liked the.
It worked. I liked.
Oh no!
Hell yeah!
I liked
Really?
Prince of Persia for what it was.
No,
but
I didn't like the music.
Absolutely.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I liked
Okay.
Well, because here's the thing, like, it's always just like you, like, I feel like it's, I don't know how to say this, but essentially, like, you're a hardcore gamer, like, you know, it's just flashy marketing. You know, the game is gonna be like normal Prince of Persia music. It's just a commercial. Like, it's gonna have the new type of music that is popular.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, I just like hip hop, so I'm always like, yeah,
Sure.
cool, sick.
I was really confused by the block party track in the Division mobile game, because I really like block party, but then I feel like sometimes a song can just like make or break a trailer, and that song was so strange. It felt like there was no cuts to the beat. There was no like real
No,
moment,
it
and
was
I
just
was
playing
like,
the song.
"Oh, okay. Well, you just play the block
Also,
party,
I just
huh?
found myself kind of like more like, oh yeah, this was a good song.
Yeah,
And
wow,
then
I
I
mean,
just kind of was
Block
thinking
Party.
about that the whole time. I was like,
Yeah.
I haven't heard this song in a while. Wow.
Yeah, true.
All right, so that was the
yeah,
John Carpenter thing. What else?
Yeah,
was
well,
in?
I mean, in terms of just
Final Fantasy.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Ever Crisis.
Ever Crisis, yeah.
Yes, which
So
I played.
So Ever Crisis is supposed to be an amalgamation of every Final Fantasy anthology story boiled down to a certain art style mixed in with classic gameplay.
Yeah.
And there's chibi art style, and then there's the traditional,
Like 7
Block
remake style.
7.
Oh, but
Yeah.
that too, yeah.
and then the combat's supposed to be like 7
Yeah.
remake. I didn't get a chance to play it because I was too busy playing Foam Stars, but I know that
Yeah, I was up in it.
you played it waiting for the lobby to start.
Yeah, it was like, I'm not a mobile gamer guy, so like I went in just kind of like, okay. So it's very mobile game where it's very passive. The battles are auto attack, where Cloud just keeps slashing, and then you wait for the limit break to pop up, and you just hit it. Like, and little variations like that. You can switch between like attack, like offensive, defensive, stuff like that. But it was the rest of it. It was like walking around. So I got to play through the whole like opening Mako reactor showdown, and you're hitting those boss beats. You're climbing up climbing down those ladders, but you're also getting into random battles. So you're walking through, and then ching, and then a battle starts, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's cool. And the like character art, like the text box that pop up, it's all like hand drawn art. The chibi thing is just kind of cool. So it just seems like this weird new. The way they pitched it to me was like a remix of 7.
Yeah.
And all the other stuff in 7, and like all
It
the
feels like
optional
they're trying
stuff.
to recontextualize some of the harder beats into an easier distilled
But
story.
it's the whole game.
But
like it goes all the way through original 7. which is
original
cool.
7. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's supposed to be original 7 plus Crisis 4
yes.
Oh.
plus the mobile game, which was called I think it was called Ever Crisis or something of that nature. Something Crisis.
Yeah.
Before Crisis.
Tam's nodding.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called Before Crisis. Yeah. So it's supposed to be like a through line to connect all of the Final Fantasy 7 plus content as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, apparently there's only cosmetics and you pull weapons. It's like gacha kind of thing to pull weapons for monetization.
I was gonna ask.
So, I mean, I'm sure that like, you'll have to spend some money if you want to get weapons that'll get you through it at a decent pace. Otherwise, you'll be grinding or it'll be really slow. I don't know. But yeah.
And they've done this for a while too. Like with 15, there was a big strategy, like a whole initiative of having like the game completely represented on mobile one way or another.
Yeah.
I never really got into them, but there was like a lot of stuff.
They had like arcade games from the Final Fantasy 15 universe as your own iPhone game.
Yes.
they
They
do
also
a lot.
had Final Fantasy 15 Mobile, which was a chibi version of Final Fantasy
and it was
15.
like substantial.
And that's what the Switch version became for people who wanted it on Switch.
I'd forgotten about all of that.
Yeah, so it might not be for me, but like it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, there's an
interesting.
audience for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And there was also Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2. Where
Rebirth.
Jeff really
Rebirth.
hyped that up at the end. He's
Oh
like, the
my God,
rumors
no.
are true.
The DoorDash
the DoorDash
bit?
integration.
The DoorDash
Speaking of
debate
Final
was
Fantasy.
a bit.
No.
That was a good
No,
bit.
no.
That will
That
live
was
forever.
very-
But
funny.
Rebirth, was that a big enough like show-stopping moment for you
I
guys?
think so.
I was just like, oh, cool.
I mean, I was genuinely very surprised that he got it because
Yeah.
I'm also very surprised that Square even showed it on the cusp of 16 coming out. Like you'd think they would want
True.
to funnel everyone down that path, but
As a huge Final Fantasy 7 person, let alone remake/rebirth person, and I know I'm getting a lot of crap for this, I wasn't the biggest fan of the trailer. The trailer didn't pull me in like remake did.
Sure.
And maybe it's because we all kind of expected it, but
Yeah.
I was really hoping to see a little bit more of like what are some of the new things that they're leading towards, because there's a lot of the trailer beats they were hitting, like all the like I don't remember Cloud at Nibelheim, like kind of the same beats we already know about Final Fantasy 7. So I was kind of hoping to see like what is it going to be different this time around, because this whole, I mean, I don't know if you guys have beaten the game or anything, but there's this whole thing that like characters who should have passed away maybe won't be passing away, and from even in the current timeline of the game. So like, we still don't know. Are we in a new timeline? Is this a new timeline? Is the Sephiroth we have the one that survived from the original 7, and this is a whole ruse? Like, I kind of want a little more mystique and pulling of the new stuff that I really wanted.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just felt like I was watching a montage.
It was just like, here it is.
Yeah, like screenshot, battle, screenshot. Like, I didn't feel like I had enough contextually out of what was there. I don't know. That's just me spitballing.
Sure. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. So do you reckon Jeff pulled it off? Was it... Do you reckon he did the job?
I think it was fine.
I think he managed expectations really well.
Yeah.
For me, I think in terms of the showcases, thinking back over the years, it was the most balanced one. There wasn't necessarily, typically there's here's the Facebook ad time, or here's here's the anime game block. It felt like it was very balanced. I also think, and we talked about this on like Giant Bomb stuff and Gamespot stuff, but like, it was the most relaxed I've seen him on stage.
I agree.
felt like he
really
got into his stride hosting it.
Yeah.
Shout outs to him making the tweet. No one got arrested.
That was very funny.
There was no one arrested
That's fun,
at the end of the show.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It's like you go in with your expectations. Like I expect like from these a couple of good things, but like actually interesting updates on stuff we already know about, and we got that. And little things I liked that like I wanted to tell him in person to be like, do that more. When like Ed Boon was walking Jeff through the game with the game on the screen behind them, it was cool because it was like a developer demo where he's like, oh yeah, if you see this bar here, like that, like have him explain the game. I like that. That was cool. I want more of that.
I mean, that's the thing. Like I was there for Alan Wake. I got Alan Wake.
Yeah, it was great.
That was great, and then saw the behind closed door stuff, and it was even better. So that's why I bought the ticket. But the rest of the show was great for me.
After that, we have
Playdays.
Playdays.
Yeah, the actual physical event where both like media and press and then dirty YouTubers and TikTokers go to check out all the games.
Hey, I will say, as far as dirty YouTubers go, everyone smelled good. No,
I caught a couple
was
whiffs.
good. You got a couple whiffs?
Yeah, I was like, "Ooh, the
You said
soul
you
of
wouldn't say
E3
anything
has
about
returned." Yeah, I was like,
He
"We
just
are
made
here."
its way back.
Yeah, a little bit.
Look,
E3 may be dead, but the stench never dies.
Dude, I've done enough Gamescoms to know that E3 ain't shit.
Exactly right. I agree. I've done one Gamescom, and that is absolutely correct.
So let's jump in from that with Playdays. We were just talking about Alan Wake, so we all got to go see Alan Wake. We got to see the game actually like running, and it's kind of an extended sequence of what we saw revealed.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, it's like the lead up before that and after that.
First of all, Health was in the demo that we were in. The guy who did all the music for Max Payne 3 was sat right.
Wait, you said Guy Health is one man?
I think so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
like Nine Inch Nails is like
two guys.
Trent. But
officially now two guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I genuinely, if I'd known that Health was there, I would have been like, "What's Trent Reznor like?" But no. Yeah, we saw that demo running. We had Sam Lake in our office because we did an audio logs with him, so he's breaking down one of the Alan Wake trailers for 2, and so he came in and said so much and yet said nothing at all, but in a good way, that he's preserved the mystery. And like he was talking about the fact that Alex Casey's in there and him being at least the face of Alex Casey. It just looks really cool. It's ticking all the right boxes for me. And I replayed Alan Wake last year, and I don't think I really understood how interconnected it is to the Remedy connected universe. And Mark Delaney, who works for GameSpot, is just so intense in a good way about it. Like, he was pulling everything out. He has all these pieces up, and I was reading them, and I was like looking at lore recaps and theories, and I'm fully down the rabbit hole. But I feel like what they've done is really smart, because they have shown great tone piece of the game. They introduced Saga, but I still have no idea what's going on. I love
Nothing.
that. Like, Alex Casey is dead. Like, Alan killed him in the books. First of all, how does he exist? He's a character in a book.
Yep.
That Alan Wake killed.
Yep.
In a different dimension. Like, it's great. I'm already, I don't necessarily want every answer, but it's Remedy, so I know I'll get some of them, and I'll get like 1,000 more questions.
Yeah. It does a lot with I I left with a lot more questions, but they were like those excited, like, ooh, mystery questions. From a gameplay perspective, I really like I was surprised how much it's actually leaning in on not only the survival horror stuff, which people got to see, like, you know, it's very like, you know, D-pad swap the weapons, little inventory system, but the detective angle of it is pretty substantial.
So cool. I was genuinely wondering how they were going to do that, because if you think about how, you know, look at Control, you're not necessarily deducting cases or anything, but it is a very weird thing. There's a lot of menu stuff going on. You're just kind of reading through UI, and there's not the tactile interaction with it. And so seeing the Mind Place, which Saga sort of like a briefing room for it, like she can mess with her weapon, she can basically put evidence on a board. And I've always wanted to do like the It's Always Sunny Charlie, you know, red string, there is no Carol in HR.
Pepe Sylvia.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do that. And so they've made a game where you do that.
And it's so impressive technically, even because it's like you hit a button and it just goes zoom and you're in there. And that's like literally in her brain thinking about clues, but it's like a log cabin. There's like coffee on the table. She's in her sweater, and you can just walk up to the board and like kind of figure out and click things together. And
it also sets the game forward too. If you figure stuff out, and it kind of points you towards the next thing to do. I obviously it's still early, so there was still, you know, it wasn't like there was some hitches a little bit when in the gameplay, especially when things got a bit hairy, because there was a segment where she fights Nightingale,
a gross man.
Yeah, gross man who's talking about, like, if you're a Remedy fan, they were talking about the clicker, they were talking about the writer keeps on writing and stuff, and I was like, oh my god, okay.
Yeah.
But yes, there's definitely like some slowdown stuff, but they were very, you know, this is still early, we're still polishing, blah blah blah. But everything they showed, I was very into.
I was happy to see like all the like audio visual stuff, like projecting real images, jump scares. Kind of I was surprised how much they leaned into jump scares, but
big time.
That stuff's cool. The combat I still don't like know about yet. Haven't seen enough.
Yeah, it's still very much doing we'll shine the light on to burn away. But I think, you know, thinking about to Alan Wake 1 and how repetitive that got, I think they've definitely learned a lot from that. The thing that got me was Casey. Like, the only time I've ever been lost is those years of my ex-wife, you know, that kind of stuff. Just like those.
Yeah, the sequence of like you walking with him and just talking about the case and everything, and like the breeze is blowing and the trees are spooky. I was like, this does feel like a sequel to Alan Wake, definitely, but like this is like a totally different thing.
Well, they said specifically they're all up in like True Detective. Like that was a huge inspiration for them, and that is unmistakable through this. Like it's just
True Detective, Mindhunter. They said it's kind of funny. Was it The Outsider, that other one?
Oh,
the HBO show.
Yeah, I think that's what they said.
I forget who was in that, but that was pretty good.
Saga was harder to get a read on because we didn't spend enough time with her, and I'm not spoiling anything, but towards the end of what we saw, they set up her like human angle, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, all right, cool, I'm in.
Because the way she's written, it's obviously because you can't really tell at what point in the story if she's actually a real person or someone that Alan has written, but some of her writing and delivery was very like by the book.
It felt which I guess is intentional.
Yeah, because
she's
there's a lot, and
you know,
there are layers.
If you think about it, and I apologize to everybody that works at Remedy. Actually, if you ask me, I think this is a compliment. Alan Wake is kind of like the Page Master, starring Macaulay Culkin, when he like went into books and stuff, and like books came alive.
What a pull!
All right, thank you. It's an excellent movie, excellent film. Sorry,
I don't have the context to agree, but I agree with you.
Yeah, well, I don't doubt you.
You said it with such conviction. I was like,
I don't doubt you.
Anybody? No Page Master fans here?
Wait, is that the one with
yes,
Noah Wiley from ER was in it?
No, that was when Whoopi Goldberg was a fairy book.
Oh, of course. No, Whoopi Goldberg, by the way, angry Diablo gamer.
What?
That's right.
She bought it on Battle.net for Matt, and I was like,
that's right.
She made a video being angry at Blizzard because she ended up buying Diablo through Battle.net, and she plays on a Mac and she can't play it.
Whoopi Goldberg, angry capital G gamer.
Yeah, and she made a video like, what the fuck, Blizzard? And every one of her audience members is like 60-year-old women. Like, what is she talking about?
I'm going to bring this up on The View.
My son plays that game.
Jeez.
We should get Whoopi Goldberg on the podcast, dude.
Oh my god.
Can you
I have
imagine?
so many questions
Holy
about
fuck.
your career, but more importantly, why are you still on a Mac if you're trying to play computer games?
Yeah, that's
To
Come
be
on
fair,
the
Boot
show.
camp that shit.
I've done that. When
I'll-
StarCraft 2 came out, I melted my MacBook to play. 'cause it was all I
Yeah,
had.
me
We'll
too.
be.
right.
I'll set up boot camp for you. I know how to
Yeah.
do it. Come on the show. I'll do it as we interview you. How
Yeah,
about that?
It's easy.
No, let's build her a PC
I agree.
and we'll
Let's
walk her
build
through it.
Whoopi a PC,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
Sister Act.
3.
Sister Act 3, baby.
Yeah, so Alan Wake was one of our favorites, clearly.
Yes,
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
Armored Core, you guys got to see? I did not get to see that, but I'd love to hear about it.
Yes, I did get to see that actually. I think because I'm not an Armored Core fan in the sense that I have not played the other games, like as in the original games back in the day, but I'm obviously a FromSoft fan and really trust who they are and what they do. Watch this demo. I think it was pretty clear that this is not a game that demos super well because, it's some mechs flying around a big gigantic factory and there's some combat that they're just they're shooting some rockets or whatever and swinging a big whatever and it's over pretty quickly and that's really it. And I mean, that honestly was what we saw, and the factory, imagine the factories from Nier Automata, but larger, right? Way larger. In fact, the verticality of the game is actually quite intriguing because you are moving around these massive mega factories and repositioning yourself is a thing, right? But stylistically, these are very simple environments that you're looking at. And yeah, you fight these little clusters of enemies and they die pretty quickly because I guess the person playing knows what they're doing. And then there was a boss, which funnily enough, the boss died so fast that the presenters had to apologize and said, that's actually meant to be more of a challenge. Because I think
Sorry, we beat his ass.
because I think the guy who's doing it has done it so many
Yeah.
times, so he's just like, fuck it, I'll just do
Wait,
it.
so
Bam,
no,
down.
because with us, I'm also not an Armored Core person at all, but for that boss, the demoer died, and that's when they were showing the garage and,
That was the plan. That was
Yeah.
they said that he should have died there,
But
right?
he was such
So
a gamer.
He just crushed it in one go. So
Capital G.
Capital G
So-
gamer.
So look, I think obviously it's just, I don't personally think it's a game that demos super well. Maybe other people saw it and were like, "Well, this is incredible," but it just was its thing. It's Armored Core, right? I'm really looking forward to playing it because everyone that I've spoken to that's played it and understands it more deeply is like, "No, man, there's a lot more going on under the hood," and I'm like, "Yeah, of course there is. It's FromSoft. Like that's how they roll, right?" So yeah, definitely keen to see more, but. Again, just seeing gameplay of this game, I think a lot of people are going to be like, "What? That's it?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the impression that I expect quite a few people to have.
Yeah, I don't think it has necessarily the more mass appeal
Yeah.
of other From Software.
But I like that they're
titles.
it's like
Oh,
they're making
yeah.
another one.
Yeah.
They're sticking with
Bringing it
100%.
back.
And I hope maybe this is an outlet to their recent success will bring in other people who maybe didn't really realize where From Software truly came
Yeah.
from.
Totally.
Of
I'm
course.
really keen for that reason. I really want to learn about this part of their history and their design philosophy, and so I'm actually really excited for this for sure. For
Totally.
Although
I'm
it's
just-
coming out in
sure. In August, isn't it? or something?
Very
yeah,
soon.
but it's like Armored Core, Baldur's Gate,
Yeah,
Starfield. It's the beginning of the
The rush.
gamut.
Gamets. Yes, indeed.
So Immortals of Avium. This is that one that's being published by EA Originals. And it is very interesting. I don't know if you guys feel the same.
Do you think so?
Well, so when it was first announced, I was like, oh, that just seems like very video gamey. Like it's just like this like new, like I don't know. I couldn't get a read on it, but once I sat down and played it and kind of had it pitched to me, it's kind of like some Call of Duty developers and some other like AAA developers like stepped away and they were like, what if we made a Call of Duty campaign, like big bombastic action style first person shooter, but like you're all like elite tactical squad wizards. And it seems kind of it had some like old school charm to it for me, and I mean old school like PS3
True.
Xbox 360
True,
adventure.
Your
You know?
description of it makes me want to try it
Yeah,
because the trailer did not get me excited.
I
Yeah.
had a lot of fun with it.
Did you?
I
Did
did.
you?
I did
Okay.
have fun with
Yeah.
it.
Why? Well, what rung out?
Just because like it was just different weapons that felt really good, different kinds of well, it's your hand, so
Sure.
it's different kind of magic. But I just I don't know. There was something about it. I think the old school charm is exactly right. Like I was just kind of blasting through these enemies. They had different kinds, and then there was sort of puzzles that weren't too, I'm not going to get blocked in this place. I'm just going through and I'm just shooting guys and there's this big wall coming out. I think it looks really good too, which I was very not surprised about given the pedigree of the studio, but also, EA Originals, you think of something like Yarny,
Sure.
Unraveled.
Or, It Takes Two still looks fantastic, but very different. And this was, they've got the guy from Never Have I Ever in there.
It's Unreal 5 as well.
Yeah. So I had fun with it. Like, I was genuinely just kind of like, first of all, props to EA for giving new single-player games a shot.
Yes.
I do agree with that.
And it knows what it is. Like, the length is like a pretty like average length, and you're gonna just play through an adventure.
It's like 25 hours.
And okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was like public or not. Yeah. And it's very like, it's charming in that like it knows like it's doing what it wants to do, and it's like you could tell it's like super into its own lore, and it's like
I
crazy.
want to know more
and I'm
about the
like,
lore.
okay.
That's like my shit.
Yeah.
So
I'm just curious to see how far the magic goes, because as of right now, from what we played, it's very everything is a gun. Like blue magic is pistol, green magic is like you blast a machine gun. Like I was like, I thought I'd be like stacking fire damage or like debuffing enemies, and like I haven't seen too much of that. There's some cool ultimate abilities, but
I'm not
curious
sure
to see how it
which
goes.
point in the game this demo was.
It's level 3.
Yeah.
Okay,
not
so
too far.
not too
just
far.
after just after the training mission.
So I want to hear what you think, because you were like, really? Sorry.
That was more
terrible.
brave.
That
was bad.
That was
Really?
very bad, that one.
Really?
So, look, I enjoyed it. I think. I mean, I sort of walk away from it being like, well, I think it could blossom into something really cool. But from what I played, it was quite simple in most aspects. It was very much just like, there's your 3 colors, and obviously we were early in the game for sure, and that's why I'm hoping it gets bigger and better. But just something about it wasn't quite clicking for me, where I was like, hell yeah, man, I can't wait to play more of this. It was very much like, okay, this is another game that's coming. I think it could be cool, but it's still kind of wait and see.
I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're not off base by any means.
Yeah, I think like the story stuff I found a little bit grating. I wasn't loving it. It just seemed a bit much. It was almost like the Call of Duty. It was almost like the Call of Duty hoorah, but like applied to a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
Like it was that, and it was a weird mismatch. And I don't know, like just the combat, as I said, I just wasn't able to really get into a groove with it. Some of the control mappings on PC were quite bad, in fact.
Oh, you did mouse and keyboard?
Yeah, I was doing mouse and keyboard. And to switch
Gamer
between the
over here.
red, blue, and green, which are your 3 weapons, you need to cycle them like you did in Redfall, right? However, I learned after the demo that there is the ability to map them, so you can actually just put them on 1, 2, and 3, switch more easily, whatever. They said they're still going back and forth on final controls. So look, I'm keeping an open mind. I think this would be fun, but it feels like one of those games that doesn't feel like essential. And it's coming out in July, and it's lucky. I think it's lucky that it's coming out in July, because there's not a lot coming out then, right? Whereas if this is coming out in like August or September, I reckon this would get totally buried.
Yeah,
because
sure.
a lot of people would just be like, no time for that, whatever else. So they
I'm gonna
played
pick
it smart
one
in July.
game versus the other.
So again, yeah, exactly. You know,
Yeah.
So look, I wish it well. I hope it all comes together, because again, I totally agree. I love EA's single player portfolio. I think they're doing fantastic stuff. I think their sports portfolio, still a total dumpster fire. But on the single player side, keep it coming. Like, they really have done great work on that, I think. Yeah.
Did anyone play Illusion Island?
No, the Mickey
Am I the
one?
only one that played that one?
Was that playable there?
It was playable there.
Did not know that.
Yes. Illusion Island is the I guess it's a spiritual successor / like new chapter in the Illusion saga. Castle of Illusion was an old game that came out when we were kids. And this is I guess they're not connected other than the word illusion, I think, but it's very exciting. It's a cooperative Metroidvania. And there is absolutely 0 combat. You do not fight enemies because you are Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, and Donald.
What do you mean it's a Metroidvania? I can't kill anybody.
Well, there's boss fights, and you don't even fight the bosses. Like when you fight the boss, you basically have to like make the boss trip and fall and hurt themselves.
Oh,
you have to make the boss see the error of his ways.
I love
yeah.
it.
So there's 0 combat. All enemies hurt you. And it's not. And it's fun as hell. It's weird to say that. The thing that I love the most is that. Do you ever play new Super Mario Brothers games or Super Mario 3D World?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
those multiplayer aspects that Nintendo does when you're like Mario, Luigi, Peach, Toad are always so clusterfuck chaotic, and you're like, it's fun.
Screwing each other
It's
up.
fun for like 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and then when you're playing a whole game for like 8 hours, you're like, this was a miserable experience. All of that is out the window. It's like everything you do is to help another person. There's a hug button where you hug another person who wants a hug,
It's pretty rad.
and you give health based off of that.
That's cool.
And there's also there's a leapfrog mechanic where
nice.
If one player is crouching, the other can sprint, and then they run towards the crouched player, and they get a little leap, and then if you jump again, it's like a double jump, so you go further.
Oh, that's fun.
And then also, if one of the four of us got to a higher platform, you have a magic rope. So you can just drop a rope and let everyone catch up to them.
That sounds really nice.
So
actually.
Mickey has like
That's
a
good.
lasso of truth.
All of them do.
Okay.
All of them do.
Now by all
it
of them,
play
is
the
it
sound?
Mickey, Minnie?
Goofy and Donald.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I didn't get the chance. I mean, because the demo is only a specific part. But as you progress in the game, you do get new abilities as a team, and you can go back and unlock. Virtually everyone plays the exact same. There's no like, I want to play Minnie because she can do a double jump or something like that. Everyone hails the same. The difference is hitboxes. But the style of it is really cool. It's in the same animation and comedy as the Disney shorts for the new.
Oh, those are impressive.
Yeah,
That's cool.
the new art style of Mickey Mouse cartoon shorts. That's what the whole game is kind of leading. Yeah, it's really great.
There's no guns in it though.
No guns.
Okay.
Mickey does not take out an AK-47
Okay.
and shoot Pete.
Okay.
That does not happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably for the best.
Probably for the best. Yeah.
How was Foam Stars, by the way?
Okay, so
Foam
So-
Stars by Square Enix. That's their Splatoon, but with foam. It's actually much more than that, though.
yeah. So I don't know how you felt about Jake going in. I'm curious. I walked in with zero expectations. I thought this was going to be a shit show that I wasn't going to have. I signed up for this appointment under Square Enix, hoping, because it was a mystery game, hoping that it was going to be a demo for Rebirth. And it wasn't. I got an update to my calendar that it was Foam Stars, and immediately I was upset. And I wasn't going to go. And then I found out that Jake and the Kind of Funny guys and I all had our appointments at the same time, and that changed the entire experience. What was yours like, Jake, before we played?
Is pretty much the same. I was just like, all right, I'll play this. Let's see what's up. You know, because I like Splatoon. I'm more of an ARMS guy, but I'm the only one. But yeah,
There are dozens of us.
I think at least to like take that idea and try and do something different with it is fun. I feel like I still am concerned about like how much of an audience it may find, but yeah, it was fairly fun. It's simple. It took me a long time to get a grip on the characters and the abilities, but once I found the one I liked, then I had time to kind of like figure out the playing field and like have fun with it. It's really simple, but it's more about knocking players out.
Yeah.
It's way more about the murder compared
is.
to Splatoon.
Yeah, Splatoon is about, most modes are about covering the playing field with your goo or your paint.
Yeah.
In this instance, it's about foam. And I think for us, the reason why we had so much fun is because we had Snowbike Mike.
Yeah.
So
I
one
was
man-
just about to say, I saw you guys straight after this appointment. Snow Mike walking down the concourse, and he just goes, I am a foam star.
Yes. So it was Jake, myself, Greg Miller, and Snowbike Mike versus
Tim and Randos.
Tim and 3 journalists from Famitsu.
Oh my god.
Oh.
The whole time Greg was talking shit right into Tim's face as we dominated. We won 7-0.
Oh.
We won
Bad.
7 games in
Yeah,
a
we
row.
bodied them.
And the entire time, Snowbike Mike was our general and commander-in-chief, dude. He was calling the plays. We followed him, listened
And it's
to
great.
him.
His plays are basically just go left or go right, but he's so nice. You're like,
He's the
yeah,
best.
you're my
He's like-
leader.
Yeah, he's like, all right, gentlemen, we're going left. Stick
I'm like,
with me
okay.
left. And we're like, sir, yes, sir, Snowbike Mike. But we run every round. And the thing I liked about it a lot was because you have all these different characters, it felt more like Overwatch Splatoon. Where
Hello?
there was it mattered which character class you
Okay.
picked.
Yeah.
Because in Splatoon,
They're
it's like,
all different. Yeah.
yeah, Splatoon, you could argue, oh, the weapon is your catalyst. Your sub weapons is your catalyst. But it felt very much like character driven with foam
They're all
stars.
significantly different.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, they are
Okay.
different. Everything
And how you
weapons.
murder someone is like you can't just shoot them so they get downed.
How you murder
You have to you have to chill them. You have
Yeah.
to chill them, and then everyone has a surfboard, and you have to ride the
Yeah.
surfboard to knock them out.
Yeah, and then
That's
they
the only
drop.
way you can like down
But
them.
there's room for complexity, like high level play, because when you foam somebody up enough, they turn into like that like snowball, and then you have to like surfboard slam into them. But on the other hand, the team like can snowboard ride into them to revive them.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that if the opposing player knocks the player out, there's a little bit of a window of time where the ball goes rolling. You can actually hit it back if you're on the team. Like you can be like, "No, I got you," and like and surf into them. So combine that with the fact that like a lot of the foam is collateral damage of you trying to shoot it at a player, but the rest of it just adds locomotion to the map because you're pretty slow when you're not in the foam. So it's like you're surfboarding
You can also build like
diving out.
you can also build like
You can Fortnite tower
multi-layered
up.
foam castles.
Yeah.
And like I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
Walls and stuff. Yeah.
And I think the Starr mode I think was if we had played any other mode I probably wouldn't have enjoyed the game, but it felt like the whole point was take down your enemy 7 times and on the 8th time is the Starr player's objective. Like I really enjoyed the idea of the objective has changed because you have conquered enough.
Yeah.
It could have easily been 1st to 7 and then that's it. But it felt more fun that way.
Yeah, and it was like, and because the maps are so small and it is all about the locomotion in the foam, like it's so easy to just be like, oh yeah, I got to stick by my guy.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy to grasp, like, okay, time to go group up and protect the core Starr player. Like I like that. Simple.
The problem with that is the one problem with Foamstar is that it's only coming to PlayStation.
Oh, is
And
it?
it's well, that's my understanding because that when he listed platforms at the end, he said it's coming to PlayStation, and I was like, that's it, because I was like, this is a really smart play from Square, considering that Splatoon is only on Switch.
Yeah.
And if you can also bring it to Xbox and PC, then like that's gonna
With crossplay?
that's a big deal. Like,
Yeah, maybe
So,
they just have
That's how you
like
that's how you elevate a player base.
Did they have-
Is that right, Tam? Tabs, yeah, it's just PlayStation.
Was Fall Guys was PlayStation exclusive for a little bit. Maybe they're just trying to do another Fall Guys.
It was, but then that was like
But then they-
that was like a whole marketing pitch. No one expected.
It
Fall
was
Guys
on
to go
it
that
was on
big.
PS Plus.
That was a
and-
real. But this one, you look at it, and you're like, well, it's a strategic play to fill a gap created by the fact that Splatoon is only on Switch.
Yeah.
But then it's like, well, why would you not put it on the other platforms? You know?
And then my other concern is like I think of other like niche, quirky games that
Knockout
release
City.
as Knockout City, but also the
Yes.
car one that was like a little bit twisted metal, but you could jump out of your car and wall run.
Destruction All Stars.
Destruction All Stars, like kind of cool, but it didn't.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it didn't
Didn't
survive.
catch.
Died pretty quick.
And also, I don't know if it's a Japan thing, but there are many games that are similar to Splatoon already in
they
Japan.
really?
Oh yeah, there's
Oh,
there's
wow.
a whole subgenre. There is one game that I forget its name, but it is literally about shooting the bathing suits off. You play as like hot anime chicks and you shoot them with water guns and they get downed and then you have to execute them and the execution is shooting their bikinis off.
Hell yes.
There's
love
just
that.
there's just
Absolutely.
so many games names that what is
I
that
don't
one
know
exactly?
the name of it.
Yeah,
I,
Shoot 'em up.
I want to say
change
it's
Japan.
like it's like something 5. Like they've
They've
done,
done
they have
four
like
as
4 or
well.
5 of them. Yeah.
Love it.
It's not. I'm sure someone in the comments are gonna be like, "That's the game. I have the
Sure.
platinum on it."
You know what they should do? They should make a multiplayer like live service, Mr. Mosquito. How good would that
Mr.
be?
Mosquito, I can get behind
That'd
that.
be really good.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
even know what Mr. Mosquito is. What is this?
How much time you got?
No, not
Let's
not
move on.
enough.
Sure.
Not enough. Let's
What
move
else
on.
have you guys played?
Yeah, yeah.
Cyberpunk.
Oh, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Tam and I had. So there were 2 different Cyberpunk appointments you could have. You could have the one on the show floor, which was a shorter demo, and then they had another one where it was just a more guided demo with a developer in a hotel room in
that's right.
illustrious downtown Los Angeles. So we went to that one, and it was with Pavel Sasko, who I believe is one of the. He was lead quest
Lead
designer on
quest designer?
Cyberpunk, but I think he's had promotion since then. And he was basically, we went in because Jake and John Luke from our team had been the day before, and they said, okay, there's some things that we did could you do the other thing and see what happens? Also, we known that Susie was going to be in the game, so we kind of said, okay, we want to do this thing, we want to meet Susie, and we want to obviously meet Idris Elba. And the thing that CDPR have done, they buried the lead so fucking hard on what they actually showed, because everyone's excited for Phantom Liberty, big expansion, it's going to have Idris Elba in. Great, that's what we thought we were there to see. We sit down and they kind of go, oh, well, we actually kind of redid pretty much every major system in the game. So or at least has been tweaked. I think when they say,
I'm a bit worried about how this has been picked up now.
That's the thing. When they said redid, everyone is going to expect like a massive overhaul. There's going to be a completely different game. But when you play it, you're like, oh, I mean, in terms of the dev work that's gone in, that is a significant amount of work.
It is, definitely.
But it is, at the end of the day, it is still Cyberpunk.
For sure. And I think that's something that I've seen because I've seen coverage since, and it's been like, this fixes all of the game. It's totally different now. It's revolutionized. It's like, whoa, hang on, chill out. That's not. I think one of the reasons why they're not talking up a lot of these changes is because they don't want to get into a situation
like the last time.
Where players feel like, oh, you promised me a complete reworking of all the core game systems, and it's mostly the same now. And it's like, it's not that. Like, there are some really chunky things here, a reworking of the talent tree, and the cop system is being overhauled.
A new skill tree as well.
Yeah, like
cool. That's interesting.
Like
there's a lot of really interesting, cool stuff in
Definitely.
there. And I think as well, obviously we had a different experience than people at home are going to have, where we had someone actually actively breaking down what was there and what was different.
But it's still Cyberpunk, right? It's still the same game.
I don't think we ever really talked about Cyberpunk, because I really enjoyed it. I literally have a Blade
How
Runner
much time you got?
I have a Blade Runner tattoo, so I actually really enjoyed Cyberpunk. That is exactly the kind of fiction that I really like, because I'm a sad, depressed person and I am a nihilist.
We are all gamers, so yeah, absolutely,
we're all,
of course. That's how we end up here.
Um,
but no, I agree. I'm the same, and obviously it's become less unpopular, I think, to say that you like Cyberpunk. But, I liked Cyberpunk when it was at the absolute nadir of its popularity. And I've always liked it. And so, it's been great to see that game go through that journey and get better. Obviously, it should have been blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
All the things that we have to say when we talk about Cyberpunk, yada, yada, yada. Sure. But the point is that, like, that game still meant a lot to a lot of people for the things that it was rather than things that it wasn't. And that I definitely fall into that category. And so I was really excited to see this. And, I played the demo as well and had a really fantastic time, and I'm really excited for it. So
the thing, though, and Tam will agree with me on this, if you got Idris Elba, tell him to be British. I can't fucking talk.
Oh, I see.
Tell him to be British or tell him to do an American accent. Do not let him do his own thing. Because he has the mashup accent that I have.
He does have a weird mashup. I agree with you. He sounds weird in this.
And I want him to just... I think it would be better. And Solomon Reed is a really interesting character. The way that they introduce him, this backstory that he has with Songbird and the president.
Yes.
Who, you start off the game rescuing the president.
Yeah.
Just like bad dudes. That's great.
Yeah. And so, and then you kind of meet him and he starts talking and I was like, yes. You too have lived in America for a while and have spoken to a lot of Americans.
Yeah.
And your accent has softened.
Yeah. But no, it's looking really good. And they wouldn't... one thing I really pressed them on was, like, how long is this going to take your average player? They really didn't want to...
No. So they don't want to say...
Yes.
Afterwards, we ran into some other folks from CD Projekt Red and they explicitly asked Tam and I, how long do you think this expansion is? And we kind of were like, maybe 10, 15 hours. And they went, okay. And then they just would not answer
walked
at all.
away.
Walked away.
No.
And they're not saying...
Yeah. Well, I think this is the thing. They say, they said something to me like, it's commensurate with the previous expansions that we have done. We feel it's the same. They didn't say length. They were just saying, like, we want those expansions to really mean something and deliver value and whatever. And we feel as though it's in the same sort of territory as our previous expansions for other games, right? So they weren't talking about hours, but they were talking about overall, like, how much it means to a player or whatever else. So
we're talking vibes.
But, like,
big
that's
vibes.
the thing, right?
And there are vampires in it? No, I'm kidding.
Cyberpunk is like 25 hours or so versus The Witcher is like 50 or 60 hours. So if you line those numbers up, I would expect this expansion to come in at around about 10-ish hours plus additional side content, right? That's my guess. Happy to be proven incorrect on that, but I just can't see this being 25 hours because if it's 25 hours like Blood and Wine was or whatever, then it makes it longer than Cyberpunk, like the base game. I just said that's going to happen.
One thing I thought was really interesting, so when you meet Solomon Reed, first of all, there's a whole setup to getting there because you can either choose to swear an oath to the president, which Johnny will mercilessly mock you for, or you can refuse. But also there's a point where you meet up with Idris Elba, there are all these, Solomon Reed, there are all these questions, and apparently you can decide not to team up with him, and you can... I'm really interested to see, I kind of want to, if that's the case, see how that plays out both ways, because... It
will result in mission failed, and then the end of the expansion.
Completely?
Yep. That's what happens.
Well,
so much for a RPG of branching choices. I
thought it was like other stuff. You can, I mean, clearly other stuff you could probably do within Dogtown, which is the new area.
Sure.
But yeah, that's wild. Like, it gives you the option. We shook his hand.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, too. Sure. It's a Elba.
Yeah, of course.
Since we are talking about games that we've gotten our hands on and played, I would love to speak about Prince of Persia.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun playing it. I got real sweaty. I got real gamery. It's challenging. I really like that it has a lot of core classic Prince of Persia feel. Specifically, when I went through a sequence where it was like butthole clenching, like, oh, like your jumps have to be perfect, and there's spike traps, and you have to like jump and wall slide and jump and like dodge traps. Like once that, I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. I love this.
So we played at Playday. Oh, Ubisoft had a thing outside of Playdays, and it was a half-hour long section that was just after sort of your first major beat.
Yeah.
I think story-wise. You played more?
I did play more. I played a point that's about halfway through the game-ish, and it's in the catacomb/crypt area. And as you're running through, the cacophonies are opening up, and enemies are coming after you. And there's this character that's kind of like the Grim Reaper of the realm that like is he's blind and he can't see you. But if you get into combat with any of his followers, it pings them and he chases you down.
And then it's like a pursuit, like a 2D kind of like Metroid Dread.
He teleports all around the room too. So like depending on if you parry correctly, if you're blocking certain ways, depending on if you use one of your anime supers, if it's too loud, it'll catch his attention. And you can't kill him. So he's just like, you need to leave the room now. And then that section was followed by a really rad, like death pillar section where you're jumping, and when you jump to a certain part in the room, you hear a flash or like a thing go off, and a pillar comes crashing down, and there's spikes all around you, and it became this like jumping, dodging section where you have to like jump, ping, pillar, jump, wall jump on the pillar, jump this way, pillar comes this way, pillar comes this way. It becomes this death trap, and you have to keep running. Otherwise, if you make a misstep, you're dead. And you can use the time mechanic to kind of avoid and replace
how did you do
yourself.
With that? Because I was able to like use it, but it's like early in the game, so I wasn't able to get to like high level play. But like we saw in the trailer, like him like rewinding time to go behind an enemy and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
in that particular puzzle, there's this part where there's two blocks with spikes on both sides, and it's just going back and forth, and you have to create the clone of yourself, run away from it, and trick the wall to go through your clone. And once it's gone through it, you then teleport to it. You're on the other side, and you start running, and you have to do it again and again depending on the enemies and the layout of the facility. You get a really cool amulet that also makes that turn into a beam. So the longer you're further away from your clone and you teleport, it'll kill any enemy in the way that you did the teleport for.
There's a lot of complexity to it.
The amulets are low-key going to be one of the coolest things in the game.
I used the one where when you leave your clone behind, you hold down the recall button and it explodes.
Explodes, yep.
That was a fun one.
So basically, just to catch people up too, the way it plays, it's very like straightforward. So it's like got Metroidvania like exploration, but it's very much dash and parry driven.
Yes.
Where it's right trigger, left trigger, one is dash, one is parry, and that's like key. Then you have a range, then you have like regular melee attacks, and then you have ultimate attacks, which go like cool, like anime style, like cut the screen. But the amulets let you kind of build and get more creative. Like that's where the fun stuff happens, right?
Oh yeah, there's when I played it, there was like I think 12 amulets applicable, and then when I played the second one, whole new loadout with different abilities. And it really feels cool because it's gonna let people play the way they want to play. If you're someone that's like, I don't want to get engaged in one-on-one combat, you can lean more towards, oh, I want more arrows in my quiver, or the chakra weapon you can like use to explode and create an AoE. And you even get new supers too. So the super where like, he explodes and like throws the waves of the one blade. Later on, you get one that's like an X, almost like
a Wolverine X.
Yeah, like a Wolverine X, and it's very directional. So like if they're not next to you, you're not gonna. If they're next to you, you're not gonna hit them. It's only meant for enemies that are like in the air. It's hype as hell, man.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It has all like the kinetic movement.
Talk about one of the most like beautifully feeling and animating little backflips.
Yeah,
in a game, like when you hit that backflip, it's like, oh, there's something
it's
about
really
it.
good slide.
Yeah,
slide's really cool.
Are you kidding me? I'm just sliding the whole time.
I'm a slut for a slide.
Yeah.
I loved
me at the pool party. Be like,
yeah. I love also just whenever you do the air dash, it's just like, oh, he's running on the wall.
Yeah, little
hey. It's weird. I think I saw Andy Robinson tweet this, and I really agree. He was like, in-person events are so important for games like Cyberpunk and Prince of Persia, because outsiders looking in are saying that sucks.
Yeah.
I don't like it. But then all of us get to play it and we're like, these experiences were really kick-ass and really fun. It's going to be people excited. And if it wasn't a physical event, there's no way to actually convey that and listen to it from those perspectives.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a bit of a bummer to see how much of the hostile reception that Prince of Persia's been getting, I think, because everyone's like, this sucks, and it's like, well, speaking to people all throughout the week who played it, they were all like, no, actually this rules. It's like the best thing.
I didn't meet a single person that was like, that game sucked.
Yeah.
I think it'll pretty quickly convince people, especially like people like if you don't like that style of gameplay, then that's just what it is. But the Prince thing, that was my thing. I was like, oh, I wanted to play as the prince. But as soon as I played it, I was like, whatever, fuck that guy.
Yeah. I'll rescue him another day. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I think I got to interview the developers. My video on that's coming out in a couple days. One of the things that I learned the most in my trip to Montpellier was that everyone there are anime weebs. Every single developer in that room, whether it was the art guy, whether it was level designers, full on Dragon Ball Goku tats, like on their wall, they've got tons of like One Piece and Mob 100, like all anime stuff. And everyone I talked to is like, we love anime. This game is inspired by anime. We want people to know that anime is what's driving this game. And you'll see it when you get further and further in the game that, they really freaking love it. And it's tight. It's really cool. As someone who's not a big anime guy, I really picked up what they were putting down.
It's cool. Is there anything else that's playable I want to talk about? I don't think so.
I played Crash Team Rumble.
Yeah, nothing to really say there.
Nope.
I can talk about Forza and 33 Immortals.
Sure.
But maybe
you played 33 Immortals?
Yeah,
I did.
Fuck!
Yeah.
When did you guys play that? Yesterday?
Yeah.
Fuck!
Yeah.
Was it at game? Was
it the Xbox stuff?
Yeah, it's
the Games Fest thing.
It's your shit.
It was at the Xbox first
It's
party.
like behind closed doors stuff.
Yeah, it's cool.
It was only a brief demo though, so like you didn't miss a huge amount. It was literally I would probably say no more than 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh man, I would have bugged Sean to get in. I didn't know there was another thing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you more about that in a little bit, Gerard. But we got a special segment next.
Yes.
We're talking to Ben Starr from Final Fantasy 16.
Who's that?
He's Clive in Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, nice.
The main
The main guy.
I was like, what? I don't know. Did I say his name? Wait. Yeah, so that's a really good conversation. We're really excited for you guys to see it because he is genuine and cool. So let's just jump in.
You have good color for an Englishman.
Thank you very much.
How did you get that color?
I was in Lisbon doing a film just before I came out, so I was literally just filming on a beach for days.
Really?
Yeah.
Just doing a film.
Just
doing the film.
Just on a beach as you do. Just doing a movie, no big deal.
Yeah, right.
So that's why I have this color, and there's nothing I could do about it. Like they just had me on the beach the whole time, and like I was wearing a dressing gown and a beanie for like the last few days because I just didn't want to get any more color on me because I was a completely different shade by the end of the thing. But we were like technically we were filming stuff like that was the day before, but I'd come on looking like I'd just been doing like 10 episodes of Baywatch, and it was just not okay.
You should do 10 episodes of Baywatch.
Yeah,
That would be good.
I would watch that reboot. English Baywatch.
Yeah, it would be great on Pebble Beaches.
Totally. They fall over and they're all wake up, they're grazed and shit. Go to the hospital.
Yeah,
Do you
just
know
like
that I got
totally-
pmonia from a beach in the northeast?
It's because you're not meant to go to the beaches in your country.
It's a Lucy
I also
story. Oh my
went
God.
in the sea.
So at the university I went to, which was Durham University, there was a little lake in one of the colleges that the rumor was that you couldn't go in there because you get tetanus if you go in there, and it was just like the rumors.
No, you get tetanus if you got a clue.
Yeah, oh my God, the second worst club in Europe. What
Yep.
it had the title of,
still
and then they were like, "Oh yeah, it's still going." And then everyone was like, "It's actually the worst club because the other worst one actually burnt down." We're just kind of going, but no one knew the rest of the story. Everyone just knew that it burnt down. Like, did people die in this? Like this horrible fire? But yeah, it was famous for being bad, and you could get something called the Quaddy Voddy, which was, and I think you can still get it, right? Which was 4 shots of vodka,
Yep.
but it was 2 shots of vodka and orange juice, 2 shots of vodka and cranberry, and then you pour them into one thing. And it was like £5 or maybe £4.
That should be
Basement in
illegal.
Newcastle, 3 trebles for a £5.
Oh my God.
And
There's
and
no
then
way
you'd go.
in Australia that you wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, no, it's fucking illegal.
It's
Yeah,
illegal.
that's right.
It's,
So the thing is that you could get 3 treble shots for £5, but they were not allowed to put them in the same glass. So you were
Yeah.
walking around like a lemon with 3 bloody cups
Yeah.
of just paint stripper of vodka, and then we would go to Digital. Do you ever go to Digital?
yeah, I did, yeah.
80p Mondays. Born in the 80s.
I mean-
Everything was
Oh my
80p
God.
until Monday.
You sound
including
so much
cover.
more British right now.
know.
by
I
the
know.
way.
I feel like I'm
As you were speaking to another British person.
Guys, she's back.
This is my time.
No more British people on the podcast,
Yeah.
right? That's
All
the
right,
rule.
fine.
We
All
have
That was
to
back
limit
in the
now.
day when your dance card was full, though. But now,
Oh my God.
How much of this cold open can we use?
Yeah.
That's the question. That is the question.
I say all of it.
I say all
yeah,
of it.
let's
All
just
of it.
use it because no one's going to get the reference. It was a personal moment.
Boy.
It'll be friends per second lore, just inserted
yeah.
into the vault.
Why do we not have I mean, I work there. Why do we not have a fandom wiki yet? Honestly.
I'm sure
You should
someone will
definitely
make it.
make
I'll have a word.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, get on that, guys. Please.
Someone, please make the wiki. We appreciate it.
Yep.
It would genuinely help my green card process a lot if you would do
Yeah,
that.
that's true. Actually, it would. It would.
What, the more Googleable you are, the more you're allowed to be an American?
I know, American.
Yes. It's a great system you've got here.
Wow. Yeah, I think. Speaking of being Googled, Ben, what's up?
Hi, how you doing?
Welcome.
Thank you for
Welcome, dude.
being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's very exciting.
The second in-person guest. Our first in-person guest was Tam, who's off camera.
That's
Shout out to
true.
him.
Hi,
That's
Tam.
true, actually.
Oh, and then Eric
'cause I mean,
Williams.
Eric
Eric?
Williams.
Oh, I wasn't there.
Oh, that's
Oh, yeah, it
awesome.
doesn't count, Jake.
so it just doesn't
So
count.
our third, technically third.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, man.
exciting.
Third place is still pretty good.
Yeah, I'll take
He's
it.
still on the podium. Get him
I
in.
like bronze. It's the best one, right?
Is that what they say?
It's the first. It's the first.
Is that because you spent so much time on the beach?
Yeah.
Why?
It goes with so much more.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so sorry that my tan offends you. Right?
Well, as an Australian currently in the thick of winter, yes, I feel very jealous right now. Having said that, I am a gamer, so I've had a tan like twice in my whole life.
Well,
so.
I'm not usually this color. It's just because I have been filming on a beach.
we know we're using the cold open. We told you.
Oh right, okay, sorry.
Everyone knows that story.
Okay,
You just
yeah,
told
yeah.
it.
Oh
Okay.
wow, okay, great. This is completely information you already know. I apologize. Back to the show. everyone.
Welcome to the internet. So speaking of welcome to the internet, in case no one knows who you are,
Yeah.
how did you get here right now between us, like in this room?
Ralph, let him in.
I got hit because I just kept banging on the door until he
Yeah.
let me in, and I kept shouting, "I love you guys."
Yeah.
So I play Clive Rosfield in Final Fantasy 16. That's basically why I'm here. I have been a huge gamer my entire life, but I'm also an actor. And I 4 years ago stumbled onto this job, which just happens to be the lead character in my favorite ever video game franchise.
So wow.
And it doesn't really make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me now. And yeah, and then it got announced at the Game Awards that I was able to kind of talk about it after that point. And I immediately kind of reached out to you guys, being like, I'm such a huge fan of I love Friends Per Second. I love you. I've been following your work. Oh my god! Like I've watched like all your guys' reactions to everything. It's just it's mad, and I'm deep in the Friends Per Second lore. So yeah, it's very very cool.
It's very very touching. That's very kind of you.
I just think you're awesome, and I remember when the first episode you guys
Keep it
announced.
coming.
It is the jerk each other off podcast.
Hey,
23.
rub it off on you. All
And
right.
I've got
We make it
hands
in
to
a
go
vacuum.
around.
That's our official gesture.
Yeah.
Hands to go around.
Welcome. Hey, but yeah, I remember when you guys first announced it, and I was just so excited because I've watched all your work individually and then coming together. I just was like, oh man, this is so cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
it's very
awesome.
welcome. I think I completely freaked out on that one episode where you kind of mentioned that I was a fan of the show.
Yeah,
Oh, you
yeah.
clipped it, didn't you? You
Yeah, I
posted
clipped
Yeah,
it. I
that's
took it down. I showed it to all my friends, and they didn't care. Like they were
That's so
going.
adorable.
I just don't get the reference, Ben. But yeah, for me, it's just such a massive thing, and it's such an honor to be here talking to you.
Well, thank you.
Well, yeah,
Thank
I
you.
really
Wow.
appreciate you making the time because this man is in very hot demand right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, the press tour is huge.
Oh.
You're a few weeks from.
I have a video to send to you
Okay.
because we went to the Final Fantasy 16 pre-launch party. Tam and I went, and the queue to meet Ben. So we ran into
Sure.
Ben
Yeah.
like just standing outside, and people were milling.
They
They were
Yeah.
like, we were catching up with you.
Yeah.
Young was there. We were like hanging
Sure.
out. And there was just like people just nervous energy like coming to me. And then you were whisked away to
Yeah.
your signing. I took a video because I wanted to send it to you because people were just like around the
Yeah.
whole thing. There was it was so cool.
Final Fantasy fans, man.
Is
Like,
that-
I'm
Oh,
one
yeah.
of them.
Is that
Yeah.
the first time in your life that you've had that? Because you're an actor and you've done other roles.
Yep.
Is that the first time you've had that level of like?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah?
Because even if you are very very famous on TV or film in the UK, they're spread out all over the world, right? You don't really get that visceral feedback. I did a TV show called Jamestown, and it was great. It was on Sky, and then it was on PBS, and lots of people watched it. I never met a single person who watched it, but apparently millions of people did. But also, they're not the kind of people that would want to have that interaction. Whereas gamers, they love that interaction, and they know that I'm a fan. And we just so happened to be at a Final Fantasy 16 event where my character's face is everywhere. You couldn't really, move for it. But I remember talking to you. Oh, well, it was yesterday. I remember all back to yesterday when I was a bit overwhelmed, and I kind of went over to you guys, and I just was like, I'm just going to talk to you for a bit because I know that this is going to get a bit crazy, and I'm not really prepared for it because I don't feel like I've earned it, and I genuinely mean that because it has been something that has been mine for so long, and the idea that people are suddenly going to take ownership of it and it's going to matter to them is very very strange for me, and I recognize as a big fan of this series how much it means to have this brand new installment for the first time, and people are going to want to meet me, and I just feel we've spoken about this imposter syndrome, right? I feel unworthy of that, and I'm looking forward to people playing it, and hopefully liking Clive as a person, but it's a very surreal, it's a bit like Whiplash, right? I'm getting that like, oh no, but yeah, there were a lot of people, and they made it known that they wanted to talk to me.
It's significant too because this is the first Final Fantasy where it's like very much focused on Clive.
Yeah.
Like you're not rolling deep with a massive party of colorful characters. Like a lot of it is on you.
Yeah.
So that has to have been pretty intensive. Was it like 4 years of constant work, or was it like waiting games in between? Like how does that process go?
So what it would be really intense periods. So often it would be for like over multiple months. I would be in every single day doing stuff because I'd be in probably about 4 to 6 hours a day. There was a period when I was in 8 hours a day, but that's really bad for your voice, and you shouldn't really do it.
Say.
But necessity dictated that I had to be in there just because we needed to get stuff done and moving, because we were priority. So when you record and they went, this is the first one in English, right? They needed to get my track down and all my stuff down so then they could send it out to everyone else who would then dub what we had done.
Localized,
So
including the Japanese, I learned.
Yeah.
The Japanese came after the English.
yeah.
That's
So you were the
wild.
baseline.
Yeah,
and
you're the guide.
Whoa,
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Because I spoke to Koji Fox about this, and it turns out that they actually rewrote sections of the Japanese script based on your lines.
Yeah,
You
based
know
on
what
what we did, and often like Koji said this, like in the sessions, like we would change stuff based, and they would rewrite stuff based on what I was giving them in the booth. So like Clive shifted with us. We didn't like he started off as one thing, and then we kind of developed in together, and it was this mad moment where I met Yoshi P, and he was just like, "You are Clive," and I was like, "Oh my god!" You know, it's crazy, but the pressure of that meant that like I felt like if I wasn't able to make a session, I was letting people down because there's me, and then there's all the other amazing Clives who are going to do it in all the other languages. Who, if I'm not doing it, they don't have anything to go off. So I was like pretty dedicated to it, and you know, sometimes against the betterment of my health, I'd just go and do it because I knew that they needed to get this stuff done. But yeah, I'd sometimes like have a month off, 2 months off, and then I'd go and back in for 3 months, and my agent would just be like, "Yep, it's up again," and off we go, and my life would just be that. And it was quite nice because an actor, you don't get 9 to 5s, but for me, I lived where we recorded it. Like the place where we did all the recording. They've done a lot of big, high-profile video games. It's kind of like the place where they do Cyberpunk and Assassin's Creed and everything. And I was working out with a casting director that I think I am, by quite some margin, the actor who's worked on one single role the longest.
Really?
And had the most amount of hours
Wow.
because we weren't doing, it wasn't like the most lines, it was just how long it took us to do those lines because they wanted to get it right. And so we weren't just pumping out like 40 lines an hour. We were doing half that. We were doing less than that because if it wasn't right, we weren't taking it.
Wow. Was that because that process was being led by Koji Fox, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Does he
So
live
he's
in
like
Japan?
quite a demanding taskmaster in those moments.
Well, so what we had is Koji, who would be right there at the beginning, and he would basically dictate the style of what it was. And so I'd have him over Zoom, but I also had this amazing team, amazing performance directors. So I want to shout out to Morgan Rushton, I want to shout out to Ollie Chance, and I really want to shout out to Hannah Price. Hannah Price, who was also a performance director on Alan Wake 2.
That game is shaping up.
Yeah.
By the way.
Oh, we're going to talk about that game in a minute.
Yeah, right. And I've been just trying to get information out of Hannah for ages. Been like, tell me about Hannah Wake 2. Tell me. It's awesome. And I say that like we had an amazing on-site UK team who are just now some of my closest friends because you just spend hours with these people and they see me at my worst. You know, it's not, I'm sitting here being like celebrating and basking in it, but things got hard. Things got really hard if you're slogging away at something and you just think you're not really making any dent in anything, or you beat yourself up because you're not doing a good enough job. But they pick me up and I'm just so thankful to have them in my life. And I'm thankful to have Koji in my life, man. We were hanging out last night just being like, oh, look at us. Look at us. It was cool. And they're just my really, really great friends now.
Going back to the beginning, because I remember talking to like Maggie Robertson, who's playing Lady D in Resident Evil. She had no idea what she was auditioning for. Did you know it was Final Fantasy?
Not a clue.
Really?
What did the
Wow.
listing even
Jackpot.
look like?
So I can't say the name of the code name because they'd kill me. But it was unnamed video game. It was a fantasy RPG, and I was auditioning for a character called at the time Tristan. Now, this was a much smaller role in the game. He was called Tristan, and he was this hard taskmaster and coming in. It was 5:30 on a Friday. I'd just done, so I have like a production company, like a film production company, and we just had this like awful meeting. It had gone so badly. I was so tired, and I was like, I've got to do this audition at 5:30. I was really tired. I went up. I was like, I've got to audition for Tristan in this game. I'm not going to get it, you know. And I walked into the booth, not really that prepared. I did 3 lines and I was really quite bad. And then there was silence. And then I heard over the tannoy, Ben, would you mind reading this? And I went, yeah, sure, fine. Just thinking nothing of it. And yeah, then they gave me the lines for a character called Clint Richmond. And I looked at them and you're just thinking, well, screw it, right? I haven't seen these in advance. Let's just go for it. And they were really emotional lines. Like Clive in this game, he goes to some places and I just went for it. I just kind of let everything go. And I remember coming out thinking that went all right. And then 4 days later, I got a call. I was doing an episode of Midsummer Murders at the time.
No, you
I
were
was
not.
playing. Honestly, it's called the Sting of Death. And I actually met someone yesterday at the Final Fantasy event who went, "I actually first saw you on Midsummer Murders, Ben." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks."
I don't think you guys understand how much of an institution Midsummer Murders is in the
Everyone
UK.
does it.
Really?
Oh my god.
I was with my episode had Griff Rhys-Jones in it.
No.
Imogen Stubbs. It was a cool episode. But I was sitting next to Neil Dudgeon, who was the lead in Midsummer Murders, and I just got a call from my agent saying, "Congratulations, you've got the lead in a video game." And I'm like, "Oh, nice." And I'm just talking to people going, "No, I've got this. I'm in a video game. I'm going to do like 40 hours. That's all it was. It's going to be 40 hours of recording." And I'm thinking, "That's cool. Great. That's nice." And then I got a call back saying, "Could you come back in an audition for your younger self? It'll only be like a couple of hours. We just want to see if you can do it. Otherwise, we'll just get someone else to voice it. It's fine. But it would be so much easier if you could do it." And I went, "Sure." They went, "We're going to give you more information for the character for context." And then they gave me the more information, and it had Final Fantasy written on it.
Oh,
And I didn't quite understand. I just was like, "Okay, what?" And then I went into my younger self audition, which was, with Koji at the time. I'd already met. It was like, we're all cool. We're rubbing shoulders. We're fine. It's cool. Then I said, "Is this Final Fantasy?" And someone nodded, and I went, "Is this Final Fantasy 16? And then nodded again, and I screamed. I went, oh no. And I think I was so nervous auditioning for my younger self, because I just thought, what if I do my younger self and they realize that I'm not good enough to do this? And they fortunately said, "Congratulations, you're going to get to do that." And then for the entire first month, maybe the first year, I thought I was going to get fired. Because it doesn't happen, does it? That doesn't happen. I didn't know what I was going in for. I've loved these games since I was 11 years old. They have defined my life. And then someone says, after one not that great audition, followed by a good audition, you get to do this, and you're going to be the custodian of the next protagonist in the Final Fantasy franchise. That is just mad. And I did an interview with Yoshi P and Koji earlier in the year, and they said it's fate, and it feels like it was fate. It feels like it was meant to be, because it doesn't happen to everyone. In fact, I think it might just happen to me. But yeah, it's amazing. It's mad.
in terms of portraying the same character at multiple spans of their life, like, let's get into process a little bit. How does that work? Because do you just talk like younger?
That's exactly what I do. I go, "Hi there, I'm Clive." We spoke about this a lot, and it's not really about age. It's about texture and about like where Clive is emotionally in his life. And I think by this point, I imagine a lot of people have played the demo.
Yes.
You know, they'll have got that far, and they'll see what happens in the content of that video and how that contextualizes the rest of Clive's life. And I know in other languages they've separated them, so they've got, you know, some people have not played Clive throughout the entire process, but for me, I felt like I really had to. I'm really glad they let me do it, because what happens in those like final moments of this this demo, it changes Clive's life forever, and it informs every aspect of my performance going forward. I don't think I could have done it well enough had I not had those moments that happen with, you know, the icon of fire and Phoenix. It's mad. And I've described it as Clive's soul leaving his body, as that's really what it was going, every aspect of his being evacuates his body, and then he has to rebuild himself for the rest of the game. And so that's what informed it. It wasn't just like, I'm going to talk like this and I'm going to talk like this, but it was more just like the texture of your voice.
Yeah.
And it changes. You know, there are hints of older Clive when he's out in the field, when he's younger. You know, it's about playing that soldier. And so what happens when you play different versions of yourself, and throughout 16, you see that Clive is many different things to many different people, and he has to play those different roles in order to kind of navigate this world. And that's what we did. And we didn't want him to just be this kind of, you know, brooding edgelord. Which,
in a Final Fantasy game?
I know,
Wow.
I know, right?
They've never had that before.
I know
Never
this is a
been done
brand
ever.
a brand new idea. But that was the process. I think it wasn't just like, we'll just do younger and older.
Yeah.
Because you play him at 28 and you also play him at 34. You know, there's those different time skips as well. So his voice is settled by the time it's 28. It's more just like what has happened to him in that point, how his personality changes. But
I mean, at that point, I assume you're not recording chronologically as to what's going on in the story. How much context did you have? Did they tell you the full story, all the arcs ahead of time, so you kind of could place yourself better?
Yeah, I think I was probably the only cast member to get the entire script when I first got it, and which, you know, absolutely changed throughout the process. You know, these game development means that things change, especially over the 4 years that we were there. But I got the arc, and Clive's arc. I think Clive's arc never changed. It never changed at all. Like, it always going to always end up in the same place, and the beats are always going to hit the same. How he got there, you know, changed based on circumstances and how development came along, I think. But so I always knew what was going to happen. But the team and like Morgan in the room would just sometimes with direction would just be like, this is everything that has happened. You know, they'd give me like the active time law, right? They would literally give me active time law in the room. But by that point, because it goes on for so long, I would know exactly where Clive was in his life. Like, I was commanding half these sessions because I'd know what had immediately happened, where I'd been, you know, where I was going. And I'm like, great, cool, got it. And we had this amazing shorthand. And that's why, like, we stuck with the team that we did, because if we'd had other directors coming in, they would have not really understood it, because this is a long game. You can't just have like a director for hire for 2 days coming in and telling you what to do, because they don't know what's happened up to that point. It was a cool process, and one that I now know this game inside and out, and it's going to be weird playing it, knowing what I know about it.
So you still haven't played it yet?
No, I mean, I played the demo,
Sure.
and I played all the stuff that we played at the previews, but I am excited.
So you do plan to play through the whole thing?
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Oh, I'm such a big gamer. Like, I'm going for that platinum trophy. I don't care what you
Let's
think.
go. Let's go.
You know, I think Final Fantasy 13 was the first ever platinum trophy I got.
Right.
And I wasn't really much of a trophy hunter at that point. And then it kind of changed. So I think 13 and 13-2 were my first ever platinum trophies. Save for like The Walking Dead, which you can just get straight.
You play it.
You just play it and it gives you the
Yeah.
trophy.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, they were my first ones, and they were signed. I mean, if you've ever tried to get the 13 platinum, you know that is RNG nightmare. Like, nightmare.
Hours and hours and hours of fighting those Animatoids turtles, pinning them down, farming them over and over.
Farming,
Yeah.
like spamming death. Yeah. No, we've been there. It's hell. It was me in my university dorm just doing this, looking like Howard Hughes by the end of it.
My brother and I have this ritual when a Final Fantasy or Zelda game comes out. The two of us get out of every responsibility as we can. We put up walls and we just get together for like a week or two and just play until we get to the end and complete them. And 13 it's a rough one. It's a long one.
Yeah, but I mean, some of the most recent platinums have actually been quite fun for it. But that one, I just loved it, and I really wanted to do it. And they're the ones that kind of tease you, right? You think, this is tangible. I've got all of them. I just need to get this last trophy.
That's when it gets bad.
It's like the Resident Evil Village platinum, where you can get everything, and then you have to do the mercenaries modes, and it's like, I'm nearly there, and then you have like, no, you've got like 20
Man,
hours
I
of
feel
mercenaries
so
to
seen
play.
with you in the room.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for validating me.
It looks like an inch, but it's actually like 30 miles.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. I had that with the Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled platinum, and I was a changed man by the end of it.
Oh my god.
My hat's off to you, dude.
Yeah.
It's like,
Completionist 2 over
Yeah,
here.
that's right.
no, I'm nowhere in your league.
now.
Guys,
Yeah.
hard now. Ben, you
right.
can take
Ben
over.
Yeah.
You're in.
Dude, I'm not in your league, but when people go like, what is the platinum that ruined you? There is Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled and The Witness, because The Witness is the worst tease of all time, because you get a trophy for every single thing that you have to do for the story, and then they go, the final trophy is very simple. It's just this procedurally generated. It's like you timed to the Hall of the Mountain King music. So there's no timer, and you've just got to get all the way through it. And each puzzle will just change. So there is no solution. You just have to know how to solve the puzzles, and each one will change. And I think I just went mad by the end of it. And I remember downing 2 bottles of wine, on Greenwich Observatory with my friends, celebrating like in plastic bags, being like, we did it. We did it. So yeah, those two.
So wait, when you said that you are a lifelong gamer, and obviously, clearly, when was the very first game that you played?
So the very first game I think I played was on Game Boy. So I found my old Game Boy like about 3 days ago, and I had this like pack that I would take around to my on holiday and stuff, and I had Metroid 2 on the Game Boy. I had Super Mario Land. That was the 6 gold rings one. What's that?
Second one, you're right.
Yeah. Super Mario Land 2, 6 gold rings. My sister had Tetris, so I didn't really get to play that, and I didn't understand it. I was like, this is not fun. But I think my other one was I really wanted Kirby's Dream Land, and my parents didn't get it for me. They got me Kirby's Pinball.
Two different games.
Yeah. But me just going, this is the same. This is the same thing. Yeah, this is exactly like it. So yeah, it was all like the Game Boy, and I really want to give a shout out to the 007 game on Game Boy. If you ever played it, the 007 James Bond game. That's like a Zelda-like James Bond game. It doesn't get enough love.
Classic Jimmy
Never
B.
even heard of this.
Honestly,
Zelda
it's a deep cut, but you got to play it, man.
Who made it?
I don't know, but it had the like certified for Game Boy thing on it. But I remember seeing it, thinking, I love James Bond. This is awesome. But I was rubbish at games at that point. I could only probably get past the first or second level, but it was the time where I break through and like get past it. I thought, am I a gamer? So yeah, I was a Game Boy kid, and then I didn't get anything till the PlayStation, and it was the first 2 games I got were Resident Evil 2 and Gran Turismo, and Resident Evil 2 was so scary I had to turn it off. I actually I was watching it with like three or four of my friends who were all coming in. We got past like, I don't know, probably about 3 hours into the game at this point, which is the furthest I'd ever got, and it was so scary that everyone started screaming, because when you open the door and zombies come through. Everyone was screaming, and it was like out of like a sitcom, and I remember running to the wall and just pulling the plug out of the thing. And I was at my friend's house that we were playing it, and his mother came to me and she just went, "You do not do that again." And I was in so much trouble because I was so scared of her for the rest of the day. And I never played Resident Evil 2 again until they remade it in 2019.
And they do it again. How'd you feel?
Yeah. I was fine with it at that point, but I remember steeling myself. Thinking,
Probably a bit scarier this time around at the very least.
Yeah,
definitely.
So yeah, that's kind of my history with video games.
What's your absolute favorite game?
I don't think I really have one, but I would say they'd probably exist in like that era. So probably Final Fantasy VIII, because it was the first one I played.
Tam is also.
I'm an
right.
8 man.
All
I'm an 8
right.
man as well.
Amazing.
Big time.
Tam's
I think
giving you the
when
nod.
8 came out, I got over it quickly, but I recently completed 8 in like 2020.
Yep.
Walked away loving it.
Squall Squad in the house.
Everyone shits all over it. I think it's top tier.
I'm a 12 girl, so I feel very.
Yeah, right.
I've got to give some 12 some love as well. I did 12 in like 4 weeks in between like breaks at university, and I kind of got like my PlayStation 2, and I got my TV from uni, and I put it at the end of my like bed over the summer, and I think I played like 140 hours of that game, like mainlined it. And there's probably like the hardest extra boss, not the hardest,
53 million HP boss.
Years Matt. Wait, and if you're playing that on anyone who defeated that on PS2, you just get a gold star, because I think you have to save halfway through it. You're in this stadium, and there is such a specific gambit set up in order to defeat it. You have to like do a spell whereby its attacks heal you, and you also have to float the entire time. And it's just like you are doing straight maths when in order to defeat that thing. But yeah, I love that game. But yeah, 8 is my boy. It's the one.
I was gonna say, I've seen you, I think it was a while ago, but someone tweeted something about Final Fantasy, and you went so deep on your answers, and you were just posting just stuff I've never even heard about with Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I love it because the fans, when people say they like stuff, they kind of like question, like, do you really like this?
Are you
And I'm
actually
like,
a
how
gamer?
far do you
What
wanna
does the
go?
X button do?
Yeah. Someone made me into a triple triad card recently.
Oh my god, that is awesome.
That was awesome. So it's like someone had drawn me. I think her name is Astrella Nova. So look her up on Instagram. She's amazing. And she did me in a triple triad card. I think I have the same stats as Squall in it, but me in a seed uniform.
Nice.
Just that's cool. And what I have realized is, now that I'm part of this fandom, if I say something, people will draw it. Like that's it. Like they will do an illustration of it.
Now's your time. Say something.
sounds
Yeah, let's
What do
get
you
him to
want?
say something weird.
I don't know. Does someone want to turn all of us into a Final Fantasy character, Final Fancy party? Someone to do that.
Oh my god.
Make all of us a Final Fantasy VIII party.
Yeah, do it, do it, and just like give us stats, junction some stuff to us, put it in the. Please, genuinely do it.
I don't want to be a Moogle. They give me nightmares.
You can be a
Moogles
GM.
give you nightmares.
Yeah, they
Definitely
freak
now
me
you can
out.
have a pom pom now.
Oh.
That's great. 100%.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, put us.
Why Final Fantasy though? Like, what does it mean to you? Like, why do you love it so much?
PlayStation 1, I was playing like the Tomorrow Never Dies game. And
I'm seeing a real theme emerging with
Yes.
Bond.
Bond, that was the period of time when I really loved Bond.
Did
That
you play
was
007 Nightfire?
Agent Under Fire.
No, did you play 007 Nightfire?
I'd never played Nightfire, no. Because I played Agent Under Fire, and then for some reason I missed Nightfire because my friend at school had it, so I just watched him play
Yeah,
it.
that's the
With that
movie.
opening song?
I mean, hey, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm not a real gamer.
No, it's okay. No, this is like, we're going to have a gaming night. We're all going to bring him around.
Wait,
I'd love to play Nightfire.
Everything or Nothing? Anybody? No? That's the best one. He drives a cool motorcycle.
No.
Ah. Everything or Nothing. Willem Dafoe's in it.
Is he really?
Yeah,
Wow.
he's the villain. He's the Bond villain.
I only played the one on N64.
Yeah.
Everyone else played.
Yeah.
There's plenty. They got plenty more for you. Which Bond do you like? We got Daniel Craig games. We got Pierce Brosnan games. We got that random guy they made up for that one GoldenEye spinoff.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But no, Final Fantasy 8, my dad bought it for me, and I just like the cover of it. I think I got like an official PlayStation magazine. I thought it looked quite cool, but I didn't understand what it was. Like I've been like, press square to shoot games, and this like had like complicated things in it. And I remember getting it and playing it, and there's the mission where you go and fight Ifrit, as I called him back in the day, but as I've learned now,
incorrect.
it's Ifrit. I know, right?
I've always said Ifrit.
I've
I
always
said
said
it as
Ifrit.
well.
I recorded a video today and I said it that way. Oops.
No,
I
I had a...
comment section.
Yeah,
Ruinous.
I'm dead.
We just shot something with the Final Fantasy 16 dev team, and earlier we were on a call with the PR, and I said Ifrit, and I was politely
Yeah.
corrected.
Corrected, really?
Oh, it's
For today.
definitely
So today I was
rad.
like, Ifrit.
Actually,
Ifrit,
it's Ifrit.
yeah. It is Ifrit. I mean, hey, it's been shouted enough. Come to me, Ifrit. That happens.
Yeah.
But,
Sick him, Torval.
sick and Toggle. I just say that to my dog all the time.
Your dog is very cute.
Milton is a great boy. If you haven't seen Milton, he's a tiny Yorkshire Terrier. He's like this big, and I would have him in the booth with me for loads of recordings.
No way.
So, yeah,
He's
yeah.
like he's good enough to just be
He's
quiet.
such a nice boy.
That's great.
I have loads of pictures of him just like curled up, and sometimes I'd be doing like really intense scenes, and I just feel these tiny paws on my leg, just like there, because he wanted to
He's
get
like-
picked up, and so I just like pick him up. And he would be like everyone at work would just love it when he would come in because I'd just take him off the lead and he'd just potter around, and he has a tiny tennis ball because he's a very small boy, and he would just nudge it around like he's Lionel Messi. Yeah. But yeah, 8. I was rubbish at it, and then I'd been playing Pokemon at the time because that was like the apex of when red and blue were there. Like everyone at school was playing it.
playgrounds.
Yeah, it was mad, and I just realized there were these GFs that you could have for the summons, so I named all the summons after Pokemon, and I started playing it. Like Pokemon. So like Quetzalcoatl was Zapdos or Zapdos.
That works.
Ifrit was Charizard.
Yep.
And so for the first like I don't know, good like 5-10 hours of that game, I was playing it like Pokemon, just summoning GFs the whole time. And then I figured out how to play the game correctly because like a friend at school was like, that's not how you play the game. And it just, the story just took me. It was insane, and I loved it. And from then on, it was Final Fantasy all the way. I played 7, and then I played 9. The first, like my dad got it for me the day it came out, and then I got like the 6 PlayStation 1 game because it came with a 10 demo.
Yes.
Final Fantasy 6 Anthology,
So we had in the UK we had the Final Fantasy Anthology, which was 5
and 6.
I think was it? Yeah, well, it was 4. I think in the UK, maybe it was because 6 came on its own, and then we had Origins, which was 1 and 2.
Oh, that's right. They split it up.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't 4. Maybe it was 5 and 6. I don't remember. Like Anthology was something, and I'd also get all the guides. I get all like the in the UK the piggyback guides. I was in Square Enix the other day, and they have a wall. They have the wall of guides. They have every single Square Enix guide ever made on this wall. And I was meant to go and do this podcast interview, and I was just there with Koji, just looking at him. Oh my god, they've got this. And he told me about there's there was a Final Fantasy 11 guide that apparently was a complete nightmare to translate. That he was like one of the first things he ever worked on, and he looked at it like I was giving him like a haunted tome. But yeah, it's really cool. Those guides were amazing, and I've still got them. Like I've lots of my old gaming stuff I don't have, but I still have all my Final Fantasy guides because I think they're really cool.
I want to ask you a question to circle back a little bit to the process of recording voiceovers. So obviously the team is working on the script in real time as you're progressing. What was it like for you to come in, and if there ever was a day where you'd come in and it's like, hey, everything you already recorded, out the door, start over, or here's 10 to 15 to 20 more new pages that weren't there before. How's that process like for you? Because I can imagine that it's exciting to be like, oh, cool, more work. And then it's like, but wait, it's more work.
If it wasn't good enough, I didn't want it to be in the game. So I really didn't mind. If I was really proud of something and for a technical reason it couldn't go in, I'd be really annoyed.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't make any bones about it. But like, oh, that's annoying. I wasn't like storming and just kicking things and going, I refuse.
Milton won't come in for a week.
Yeah,
He's upset.
Withholding Milton from you. I think there are always things for technical reasons, or if when we actually placed the when we, as though I did any of that, when the dialogue was placed in the game, they realized that it didn't quite work, so things had to change, or like I mispronounced something because there's a lot of names in this game. Yeah. I've always said Ifrit. I don't know what you're talking about. So that would happen, and I was fine with it because often I wouldn't kind of know exactly what we were going to do that day, and there are quite a few scenes in the game which I kind of knew the context of, but often I would see a scene play out, and then I would have to voice it, or they'd tell me what the scene is, and then they would just show me the lines that I would have to do. And I would watch it and then go, okay, ready to go. But there's some scenes later on in the game which are very, it's a Final Fantasy game, very emotionally charged, long sequences which have just real complexity, and they would have taken hours to do. And I just said, no, let's just do it. Because I don't want to have to kind of turn this into a technical thing because of what it requires. So I just did it in one take. And we did it, and everyone was like, oh no, is that the one? And for like one technical reason, we couldn't take it, and everyone was very nervous because it was very emotional. And I was like, guys, it's fine, we'll just do it again, but I'll do it a bit better. And I did it again, and that's the take we used. And so something that should have taken probably about 4 or 5 hours took maybe 20 minutes to do. God. And I still think it's my favorite. It's the most kind of, it's the thing I'm most proud of in my entire career that I've ever done, because of that moment where you feel like you've done something justice, you've given your entire self to it, and it just is incredibly real. It's not fake. We did it, and we went all through in one go, and that scene that you see is exactly as it happened, and everything we were feeling in that moment happens. And you see all the trailers. It's an emotionally charged game. There's lots of fun stuff to it, but I love that, and I'm going, yeah, that was me putting myself into that character. That isn't just me trying to bend myself up in knots. That's just raw honesty. And I was just like, oh man, that's cool that I got to do that.
Do you remember the first time you saw what Clive was going to look like?
Yeah, I did. And I just thought, that guy's unnecessarily attractive. Yeah. I remember the first time I ever saw Sid, I was joking about this. So Ralph and I had sessions together right towards the beginning. Ralph, who plays Sid, Ralph Einson, who is, he's in everything, right?
A British institution.
His voice, the voice as if he's been eating dirt for 20 years. He's an amazing man to be around. And we would see like some of the character models really early on. There's no like, they haven't got any of the bells and whistles on. They don't look like they do now. And they were just like blank, like grey faces and hair. Clive looked like he was made by a 4-year-old with Play-Doh hair, and Sid just looked very attractive from the get-go. Like Sid was always super sexy, looked incredible day one, whereas Clive looked like he'd been drawn by a 4-year-old who had just like got her first Play-Doh set. His Play-Doh set. It was very, very silly.
Yeah, no, like the Sid stuff. I saw him in that Garuda fight that they released, and I was like, oh, he's unnecessarily attractive.
Yeah, he really is. Also, he's just very funny. I just think that you can kind of let Clive be really sad in that section of the game because Sid just brings so much levity to all of it. being in the room with Ralph when we were recording, it was just really funny because I'd say something quite sad or serious as Clive, and then he'd just come back with a funny quip. And a lot of the stuff that you get in the game is just because we were in the room together when we were doing it, and I don't think you'd get that kind of same chemistry if we weren't there in the room.
What do you think is gonna surprise players, or like what's gonna be a takeaway for people like us who've like played most Final Fantasy games?
I think probably the most surprising thing is, probably not surprising, but this is the first new Final Fantasy that you've had in years, like you haven't known about, and I think that it feels very, very modern, and I don't know how to say that in any other way. Like it feels very modern, but also still has the same kind of like Final Fantasy classic sensibilities. But I love, because we recorded it in English, I think you're going to get a style of performance that you haven't heard in a Final Fantasy game before.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the stuff is quite understated. It's not in your face. And we do go for the big bombastic moments. You've seen the trailers. It does go to some crazy, crazy places. But even in that demo, right, you see just two people talking in a room, no music. And you don't need it because you're trusting in what the story is.
That's awesome.
You're trusting in what these performers have done. And I'm acting alongside some people who I think are just so cool. Like I mean, the actors haven't been announced yet, so I can't really talk about them. But like the people, even in that demo, who I was working with, I was just like, oh my god, I'm playing your characters right now. Like I've played games with your voices in them. It's really mad. And everyone always surprised me. I'd always come in and it would just be like performances with different dynamics and different textures to kind of create a world that kind of feels really lived in. You feel like these people have lived here for hundreds and thousands of years. So yeah, that
was a good answer.
Oh, thanks.
Very good answer.
Well done. Ben, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a real honor.
We are looking forward to the game. We're very excited for
Very
you.
much.
Proud of you. This is crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good luck with everything, and maybe like we can come back and talk spoilers.
Just
or something.
remember us, little guys, when you are in the higher echelon of video game.
When you're at another beach.
I want to ask before you go, does this change your career focus? Because you
yeah.
obviously have been an actor, or are still an actor, I should say, and now you've done this thing. Are you thinking, well, maybe now I'm a video game voice actor and that's what I'm going to do? Or is it like, well, actually, that's just one thing that I do on top of other things?
I would love to do more video games. I'm currently not doing any more video games. So get on it, guys. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting?
Man.
Oh
Come
my
on now.
god. But I love the variation of all of it. I think it's so cool. And they're very similar, but very, very different as well in the disciplines that they require. And I've learned a lot about myself as an actor that I'm taking into all my other disciplines. But I love being freelance. It's cool. It's terrifying, but I love thinking that like, oh, I can go off and shoot a film, or I can go and do a TV show, or I can go and do a video game. I love it all because my passion is video games and acting, and they just so happen to be my job.
Cool.
So yeah, I would love to do anything. I don't know what the future holds. Wait until 16 comes out. I could be terrible, but I'm really excited to see what the future holds.
We are too.
Thank you.
Well, see you later, Ben.
Bye.
Bye, Ben.
And then he disappears in the cut. Does it wipe and he's gone?
No, please don't. Please don't.
You have to leave like Keanu left on the stage.
Scurries away.
Someone
Manic
tweeted out with he left like a Muppet because his entire body turned.
It was just like he just went, you know who I'm going to be? I'm going to be Duke Kaboom in this. Like his character. All I was like, wait a second, are you doing an impression of Duke Kaboom in this entire?
It cuts to him and he's just like,
yeah.
hi.
Comes out of the screen.
Yeah, like he's surprised that he's even there. Like, it's like Keanu Reeves. It's like he's an avatar of Keanu Reeves. He's being controlled by Keanu Reeves, like, like remotely from somewhere else.
It's rolling. It's
Yeah.
rolling. Go, come on.
Yeah.
Hi.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank
That was
you.
great.
Thank
Yeah. Like,
you.
Isn't Ben great?
He is...
The loveliest.
I want to be best
Very
friends
nice.
with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
You
just,
are
he's
best
just
friends
it's a
with him.
rad dude, hardcore gamer man, living every one of his dreams. Just
Yeah.
imagine manifesting your dreams to that degree. Impossible.
It's nice to see that you can be a gamer and achieve.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Things in real life as well.
Yes.
It's great. I love it.
Looking forward to Final Fantasy 16. I'm sure we'll probably, at this rate, be talking about that the next podcast.
Oh, next episode it'll be the
Cool.
Yes.
the main
Excellent.
It will be.
feature.
Yeah.
I see.
But we got to get back rolling with all the stuff we're catching up on.
Mm.
So there was the Xbox event, and there was a lot of new game reveals there. Big
showcase.
standout immediately come to any of you?
Fable.
Okay.
Fable look good?
let's
Fable
go.
was
I
a
mean-
great way to start the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, like, it's because I was really going in there expecting lots of gameplay after that tweet from Aaron Greenberg.
I will say
And-
there was
and then-
no true gameplay. I felt.
There was like
They were
1 second of like a
Yeah.
fireball, and they're like, "Hey, we got ya. It's some gameplay, you know."
Like,
and
it's an engine though.
That's right. I was a bit annoyed about the fact that he tweeted out that because the spirit of his tweet was very much like, "Yeah, man, you're going to see lots of gameplay and everything."
it's games.
and it was the reality was actually it's cutscenes rendered in engine, and it's like, okay, well now we know that means fucking nothing. Thank you for teaching us. So you're getting shit for that. For what?
I said, when are you going to show gameplay? And now everyone's tweeting at me, being like, fucking shit, they show gameplay. And I was like,
Yeah, that's interesting.
Game-
Tab's telling us that people are trying to correct him, saying that that they're saying, well, they showed some gameplay, but it's like, come on, they did not really show gameplay. You know, there was quite
It
a
was
few of that.
layered between a lot of cutscenes.
Exactly,
There's
it's totally.
Starfield gameplay.
There was a lot of that, and that was
A lot of
fantastic.
that.
But
Lots
yeah,
of Starfield gameplay.
So my thing with Fable is I still don't know what it is. For me, this
Exactly.
trailer
Yeah.
just gave me
Yeah.
like humor confirmation, which is good as
Yes.
a like diehard Fable weirdo. I am so happy that there is like a good tone and it's funny, but I don't know a single thing about this game.
yes, I agree.
Other
completely.
than
And
that,
that
it's
bums me out.
very British.
Yes, exactly. So I'm totally there with you, and so it's that's the second time this game has been revealed almost.
Yeah.
and it's like cool, all right, fair enough, but we don't
But
know
at least
anything
we
more
saw
than that.
something this time around. Because the first time around, we saw way less.
Oh, of
yeah.
course, absolutely,
Yeah.
sure. But it does feel like this is 2025. You know, it
Yeah, I
doesn't
don't
feel
think
like
it's
it's anytime soon. And
Yeah.
we don't know what it is, and that's literally it. So
Chicken Chaser. The Chicken Chaser reference was like my on your left moment from Avengers Endgame. I was like, yeah, yeah, they kicked the chicken. Like, yeah, so I still like obviously I'm not rushing them, but like I would like to know a little bit more.
I agree. Same goes for like the next 2 games after that, because then we had that
The Compulsion Games game that we
Yeah.
already
South of Midnight or Midnight of
yeah.
South of Midnight. Yes,
South of Midnight.
of
Yeah.
Midnight.
which again, no idea what it is.
Yeah.
Looks really nice,
Looks
great art
pretty.
style.
Yep.
No gameplay,
no
but
gameplay.
definitely intrigued.
And
Yeah.
then we had the Outlaws reveal. Star Wars Outlaws.
Yes.
Star Wars Outlook.
Star Wars Outlook. Thank you very
Star
much,
Wars
Eve.
Outlook.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about some of the Ubisoft stuff at the end.
Yeah.
Forza, the new Forza Motorsport, it has graphics
Yeah.
and a Corvette, but
Yep.
I did get to see a lot more of it behind the scenes and talk to the developers. And the coolest thing about it is that they're very self-aware of how the last couple of games have been, where it's like so much freedom, where it's like, get that awesome car and go. Now they're like, okay, like after a while that kind of loses its luster, so they're rethinking like the progression loop. So like you're doing stuff, like you're leveling up your cars and earning upgrades and doing that whole type of thing. And I'm happy to have that again.
The game director literally did say in the presentation, it's like a car PG.
Yes.
And that's what everyone in the
then isn't
presentation
Pacific-
chuckled.
Isn't
Yeah.
Pacific Drive Car PG?
No,
something
that's
else
like
is-
that's like
Survival.
car survival.
Yeah.
No, something
Carvival.
else is Car PG.
Really?
Yeah. Car PG.
Need for Speed Underground? That's car PG.
Oh, I gotta Google
No,
it.
the Need for Speed Underground. Anytime you got to level up your car and do all
My
that
life
shit,
is a
that's
car PG.
RPG, dude.
What?
I don't know.
What the hell?
Let's move on. Yeah, so I'm into that.
Oh, Car PG is apparently already a
just a game.
A genre?
a genre.
Oh, right.
Damn.
Right. All right.
Yeah. In terms of the Forza thing, it's just cool that they're rethinking how the actual play goes, because they got the simulations, the graphics, like they have all
Yeah.
of that. So it's more about getting new interesting ways to play. And I asked if the DeLorean is in the game, and they wouldn't confirm, but
Damn.
they have a good
It's in,
relationship with
it's in-
Forza Horizon.
It's in the Motor Crew game, whatever it is. The
It is.
Oh, the
yeah,
Ubisoft.
yeah, they had
Crew
them, like,
Motor
tricked
Fest
out.
or whatever. Yeah.
That
Forget
took
the
me a minute to
fucking
get
name.
to.
It really did.
Yeah, that was interesting. The other one I got to play was a game they revealed pretty early on in the presentation, 33 Immortals.
Mhm.
That is from the people behind Spiritfarer, a really cool game
Yeah.
that tackles death in interesting ways. This is a combat multiplayer thing that is pretty cool. I only got to experience so much of it, but it's like you all emerge, and then like this, you're like a whole crowd of players, and you all play together in a top-down, almost like Hades light type thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you're given a random weapon. You're either ranged or melee, and you just go. And it just gets more and more chaotic. More characters pop on the screen, and there's like team moves essentially, where like if you hit a button, it's like, okay guys, I'm gonna hit this button, and you put like 3 circles on the ground, and so 3 other players have to scurry over and get in those circles, and then you all hit the button, and then you get like a health boost or like a big arrow attack. And it's pretty challenging. It's pretty fun. There's loot. There's like, you're going into little dungeons, beating quick little mini bosses, getting loot, keeping going. But the game does a really good job of pacing through these runs where it's like they get you in a groove where you're all starting to communicate, and like everybody's good, everybody's playing together, everybody has their roles, and then the game drops something to make you all go, what do we do? And I think that's like a really good loop. And by the end of it, I got to the boss, and that was like what they showed in the trailer, like that big like He-Man animation style demon.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see more of this one.
I will say, sitting in the audience for the Xbox conference was really funny for this one, because I saw the logo for the Spiritfarer devs. I'm like, oh, dude, the guys made Spiritfarer. It's sick. And everyone was like, well, interesting. And no one like really said anything until the words 33-player co-op appeared on screen.
Yeah.
Then the whole room went, yo, what? Like, I think I heard Hip Hop Gamer go, yo, let's go, like in the corner, and then everyone laughed. Like, it was so funny how like that was the one thing that kind of took everyone to get into the game.
It's a good little hook. I'm curious to see, like, it seems like it, like I'm hoping it's just easy to hop in, like, and find people, like kind of like almost like a journey thing, like where it's like you can just kind of emerge into worlds with. It's interesting. Next up, we got like a good look at Avowed, which just seems obviously so much more fleshed out now from that original little teaser trailer. Like, we get to see what it is now. I also need to make sure I remember this takes place in the Pillars of Eternity universe.
Yes.
And I keep forgetting that.
Yes.
But yeah, what did you guys think of that?
Yeah, I'm down. I'm not sure of the scale of it just yet.
Yeah, I know. It
That's
looks
the
small,
thing.
doesn't it?
But I like that.
Like Outer Worlds?
Yeah, Outer Worlds.
The thing is that I'm thinking about. Remember when you played Skyrim for the first time? You think about just how big that world was back in 2011. Although I imagine now by modern sensitivities,
It's tiny.
I feel like Skyrim would be like a manageable game.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of hoping that that's where this is going to lie. Obviously, there are many more comparisons to Skyrim to be made, especially that initial trailer. So I'm intrigued by it. I never played Pillars, but you know.
Yeah, I never
spells
played
and
Pillars
shit.
either. That's one thing that I'm actually quite keen on, being able to like be immersed in that lore, because it's so developed and so fleshed out already. But you know, you don't have to read like thousands of lines of dialogue to enjoy it this time around.
Yeah.
You can just play this like, you know, RPG action game thing. So I think visually it was quite surprising, because that first trailer was quite dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this one comes in and it's very colorful, and it's kind of like, okay, what's happened in this intervening period, you know? And yeah, the whole thing presents quite differently than what I imagined it would be. It does feel more like like a fantasy version of Outer Worlds, more than Obsidian's take on Elder Scrolls, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So, which I'm keen for, though, in the sense, because like I trust Obsidian, like they make cool games. I even liked Outer Worlds, which a lot of people really don't like that game.
That's cool.
I like
And I like their writing style. I like what they do with RPG. So I'm keen to check it out. Yeah, it's sold me. So yeah.
I'm dumb. The whole like beginning of the trailer, I thought it was like a new Pirates Assassin's Creed. Like it just looked like it was like a pirate guy walking on deck. His hood was up, and I was like, "What? Wait, this isn't the Ubisoft thing."
Don't worry, Skull and Bones had its moment.
It did.
Oh yeah.
It did.
In terms of Xbox, we also have.
I mean, Persona fans eating.
There's so much.
Man,
Eating.
definitely.
The Persona 3 remake is a thing.
So Persona, well, I mean, they're
Persona
also
5 Tactica.
Yes.
Yeah, the Persona 3 stuff though,
It doesn't have the stuff that some people want.
yeah.
right?
So when Persona 3 was like re-released later on, they added a bunch of new content, including a female playable character. That's all gone.
Oh really?
Yeah, they've remade
Wow, okay.
base game rather
Interesting.
than the
That's
one
a very
with the
odd
improvements
choice.
that people want.
Sure.
Also, Persona 3 and Persona 5 Tactica got leaked the day.
Yeah.
By
Summer Games
Atlas
Fest.
posting it on
They did it
Instagram,
themselves.
That's so
They
badass.
leaked the
which
trailer.
sucks.
Yeah.
But, and I have to bring out my phone for this because I will not remember this name. Metaphor Re Fantasio,
Yes.
which is the fantasy project that the Persona team. I guess I don't think they call the Persona team
Fantazio.
anymore.
Fantazio.
Fantazio.
I thought it was the Shin Megami Tensei game.
It
That's
looks
what I thought.
definitely.
I thought they were porting Shin Megami Tensei
No.
from Switch. That's what I thought I was looking at.
Yeah. So Persona fans eaten.
Yeah. That really looked quite incredible. The UI in that game alone,
Yeah.
incredible. Like
Yeah.
just,
I mean, we
just
saw what they did with like Persona 5, and you know,
Yeah.
they can make anything interesting.
totally.
But it's also kind of, you know, we talked to Phil and Matt Booty about it on the Giant Bomb stuff, but it was like really incredible to see a Japanese developer and Capcom too announcing a game.
I know.
Was it Goddess?
Path of Goddess.
Path of the Goddess?
Yes.
Like having a lot of more Japanese developers on an Xbox stage was very cool.
That was definitely one of the big unspoken messages from that showcase. It was like, Japan, we are committed to you. We are bringing in like your best developers. They're putting their games out on Xbox. You know, they still don't have Square Enix, obviously.
Why
but-
don't you love me, Japan?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, totally. But they've got Capcom and they've got Sega, and it's like cool.
Nice
That's
to see.
a really great start.
Yeah.
And I think it's only a good thing for sure.
Seems like Phil Spencer has always been about that. So
Yeah.
like it's cool that that's definitely a thing now. There's also just briefly the new Cities game looks incredible.
It does actually.
That's
I
cool.
love City Skylines.
Did you really? I would
Yes.
not have picked that.
Yeah. Oh my god.
No way.
Oh my god.
Cool.
City Skylines and like Civilization and Frostpunk. Like I like those types
Mm.
of things. I really like sitting in like a stadium full of gamers watching someone drag and drop like zoning districts and like plumbing and electrical lines and stuff. It's just I love those games. And this one's coming out, I believe, this year. was the
October,
date.
I think,
Yeah.
Wow.
from memory. Yeah.
Smack dab in October when every other game is coming out.
Yeah.
It's all September and all October.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was cool. But I think
Hellblade 2.
yeah.
That trailer.
I don't think it was as good of a showing for this. I feel
I
in terms
agree.
of
On-scene.
pacing of a showcase, it slowed it down. I felt like it
It-
went on a bit too long. But that's the
I
game.
agree, but yeah, that's the game.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
point. The
the
first
game.
trailer was very much like, look at this action, this spectacle.
Yeah.
I really liked just seeing this emotional scene and how that's being rendered in a video game. I love that performance. I was really drawn into that, to be honest. But yeah, I do agree it was a bit long.
It
But-
lasted forever.
Yeah, dude. I was also in the Xbox presentation. I was sitting next to the speaker, and it was just like all crazy sound. It was like
Yeah.
Oh,
a
you-
mental like
You're
attack.
getting that ASMR.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was just like, I feel like her right now. I'm like, like it's not good.
like Venom when the bell gets rung.
Yeah, like peeling my skin off.
Vibrating all over the
Yeah.
place. Chunks just going everywhere.
There was Like a Dragon,
Oh my god.
which I'm actually
trailer.
that's
What
gonna
an
be-
incredible trailer.
That is going to be really fun. The idea, I think
Infinite
it's
wealth.
pretty much confirmed to be Hawaii, I believe, and
Yeah, it
that's a
looks
great
it.
setting for that. I think that's going to be
I'm
rad.
curious to see dual protagonists, like if they're going to be in different
Yes.
places.
Wait,
Yes.
dual protagonists? Are they doing like Kiryu?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kiryu's in
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Please,
yeah,
I
yeah.
hope that they don't make him skip out on America. Don't put him somewhere else. I need to
No,
see him in
he
America.
has to.
Yeah, true.
go.
Well, yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't have thought about
He's
that.
also my favorite man.
yeah,
Oh my God.
he's up there.
Oh, the man who erased his name trailer at Keeley's thing. Was
That's also
Oh,
that's
yeah.
true. That's
Yeah,
coming
that
out at the
was-
end of the
that's
year.
right,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Good year for
and
that stuff.
the Like a Dragon, the Infinite Wealth is out sometime next year. And did you see that Jusant game, the rock
the
climbing
Donut,
game? From
yeah.
I'm
Donut?
about that. So
I like that.
For me, that I was like, oh, it reminds me of like Eco with climbing.
Interesting parallel. Okay, I can see
You're
it.
just like a
Yeah.
little soft boy,
Nice.
thinking about things, going through.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
can see
Yeah.
it.
It just
That's
seemed
a-
nice.
I was, and there's a demo out for that right now.
Oh, is there?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
On Steam.
The only
Nice.
problem is that Jusant is his name?
I'm just trying to put some French spin on it because it looks like it's a French word. It could just
Yeah.
be like,
Just
it could just be Jusant.
Just Ant.
Jusant.
Yeah.
So you know.
I just feel like that name is not. As a native English speaker, I'm like, I can't remember that.
Maybe the end of
Yeah,
the demo, he turns to
we
the
just
camera
we
and
just
says
spoke
it.
about a game
Climber.
called called Kinsugami Path of the Goddess.
I remember
Okay,
Path
and you
of the
didn't have any
Goddess.
problem with that one.
No.
But now you got some problem with your
No.
French.
No.
Oh, the British and the French. we
Oh,
know all
no.
about that, don't we?
First of
Oh,
all,
man.
I had my phone open, so I saw the name Path of the Goddess.
So-
And second of all, on the live stream, I went, I'm never going to remember that. So
Fair enough.
I have precedent.
Fair enough.
The big one
Big one.
is Starfield.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, definitely need to acknowledge
It
that
was
because
a
it was a
big
long
one.
presentation.
So a lot of
I haven't-
As someone who has had zero interest in Starfield, that was the first time where I was like, okay, now this game appeals to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the one guy in the world that's been like, I don't get Starfield. I don't get.
Nah.
I mean, look, maybe it's because I just have PTSD completing Skyrim so many times, but like,
I was gonna say just preemptively, maybe don't play this one.
literally, my friend AJ was next to me. He leaned in and said, I wouldn't complete it if I were you.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, probably not. But there was something Heroic about completing it that made it interesting. The fact there's like over 1,000 worlds, and I was. This was the first time where I was like, now that I've seen enough of this game and know what's expected of it, like I feel confident in wanting to try it. Before I had zero interest.
Yeah, the last showing I wasn't into it. Now I am.
Yeah.
For me, what clicked with this, I think it was obviously that they threw all of it at us. They're like, look at everything.
And apparently that's not even everything.
Yeah.
Which is what is left.
Like, holy shit. Yeah. So the thing for me that I was like, oh, okay, I think this is going to be the best aspects of Oblivion, Skyrim for me, which is like I barely ever, like I stumbled to the end of the story hours and hours later because I was too busy just kind of engaging in the world and messing around. Because I want to build a ship, I want to like role play and try and make like a Star Wars guy and like have fun and like do space stuff. It's the story stuff that like it hits me like a brick. None of it really has appealed to me.
Sure.
Anytime they highlight the collective of characters, like the spacefarer people, they all kind of look like randomly generated NPCs, which they kind of said they were, like proudly, like they're like, oh, like the faces are all going to be based on, like they're all using the same system or something more technical. Like none of it seemed very interesting. They also didn't talk a lot about the story, and anytime they showed anything, I was like, I don't think this is going to be the part that gets me. I think it's going to be more about just like
I feel like
being weird in space.
I feel like outside of Fallout, and this is my personal opinion, everyone, I've never been a big fan of like the Elder Scrolls as a franchise for storytelling. It's just
I think it's about the small stories. The
Yeah.
main quest lines generally aren't great.
yeah,
But
that's my
you
vibe.
rock up at a village and you're like, "What's up?" And they're like, "Oh, actually, we have vampires living here. Didn't you know that?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like figuring that shit out is actually really rewarding.
Yeah.
But yeah, the main quest lines in terms of
Yeah.
core narrative, not great.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
We'll see though. It's
yeah.
a lot. It seems like it is definitely a big game.
I'll tell you what, the modding
Massive.
community is just gonna eat this game alive
yeah.
when it's ready.
I just
Yeah.
hope that it's. I mean, there's something about Starfield that's been a little bit po-faced up until now in terms of the way they've presented it. Thank you. In terms of the way they presented it, but I feel this one they let themselves get a little bit zany.
Sure.
You know, like the woman who was stealing
Sandwich lady.
sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice.
She was MVP. Yeah, she was good. I agree with you.
And so I want to see more of like the weird stuff you can do
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Starfield, because that's gonna be where. That's what I'm
Sure,
enjoying,
of course,
you know?
yeah.
I really enjoyed in that presentation how much time we had outside of just Todd Howard. Like we
Sure.
got
Yeah.
so it was so
Yeah.
Good
fun
jacket, though.
seeing so many people just be like, this is what I love about my job imbued in the game. Because very often we kind of get stuck behind like the auteurs, you know, the Sudas, the
Kojima's.
Kojimas and the Todd Howards, and you kind of are like, that one person's responsible for this whole project.
Yeah, like,
but
no way.
it really showed us that, like, you know, it takes a village to make something like Starfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
My other lingering questions are just like the combat seemed a little bit more appealing this time we saw it, but still can't judge that yet. And then the 30 frames per second on console.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that?
I don't
I
care.
can.
I don't
I'm also in
care.
the same boat.
Don't care.
I don't care.
If it, as long as it runs well,
Yeah.
that's the thing that matters the most
if
to me.
it's below 30 FPS,
Then it's
then we have a problem. But if it actually runs consistently locked at 30,
Did you guys see the IGN article where they're like, oh, if Bethesda does manage to release this at a locked 30 FPS, this will be the highest frame rate, most stable game they've ever released. and, like they said that totally straight faced as well.
They put that
And I was just
in.
like,
man.
But then,
That's
That's
but
right.
then
I played Skyrim on
Matt
PS3.
Booty-
That's right.
Yeah.
it wasn't based on the quote from Matt, so that they released that earlier in the day. So Matt Booty, when he was on the Giant Bomb show,
Yeah.
he said, "Oh, I've seen the bug reports, and you know, even I think it was like at this point, it will be the least bugs ever in a Bethesda game studio game."
I mean, oof, interesting.
Which
Yeah, right.
is, I mean, it's already been clipped. People are poised and ready to post that.
Yeah.
in
They're like,
September.
we'll see about that.
Yeah.
You know.
It's free
See
money
you
for
in 8
YouTubers.
months.
Yeah.
Oh no, because then I'm just sat in the corner being like,
Yeah, the 30. I think it's hard. It's always so hard to talk about frame rate because the reality is it depends. Like that's it. It depends. Like you look at a game like Redfall and you're like, sorry,
big
there's
update
no
for
excuse.
Redfall today.
Was what big update?
Yeah,
Was there
they
actually?
released a big patch.
Oh no
Apparently.
way!
Yeah,
Oh wow!
yeah.
And they
Buried that
did
lead.
not mention that in the
Yep.
showcase. But like you look at Redfall and you're like, I'm sorry, there's no excuse that this should not run at 60 FPS. Like there's just not. Like, yes, I'm not a game maker. I'm sure that there's some game makers who are cringing right now, being like blah blah blah. But like for real, there is a way to get that game running at 60 FPS. And in fact, it is going to happen because the developers have promised it. They just couldn't get it done in the timeline, right? And then you look at Tears of the Kingdom and you're like, that thing is running on a fucking calculator and it's doing the most advanced mathematics that any human mind can conceive. It's doing it all real time, all the time. And that game runs at generally around 30 FPS. And that's a fucking miracle. You know what I mean? So I think it depends every time. Personally, with Starfield, I would have liked it to have been 60. But obviously, they're focusing on their world. There's a lot of objects in a Bethesda game.
Yeah.
That's a big focus for them. They even talked about the fact that you can pick everything up. Sure, they're going for visual fidelity. They're going for the size of their worlds. Like, I get it. And I'm like, it would have been nice if it was 60, but I don't think it's the end of the world that it's 30. And
Are you
again,
gonna play on PC?
fuck yeah.
Then you're
And
fine.
then you're fine.
Yeah, the modding community within months will have the whole thing running at 60 with high fidelity. It'll be fine.
No, I mean, well, that it would already run at 60 on consoles. Oh, sorry, on PC. But the modding community can't get it running at 60 on. Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course,
yeah,
of
yeah.
course.
So, like, it should look if it doesn't run native 60 on PC, like, then that's gonna be diabolical. Like, the PC community will lose.
You
their
think on
fucking
day
minds.
one?
Oh, absolutely. If you can't get that game running at 60 FPS through settings and high-end hardware, then that will be a fucking scandal.
So the conversation is that it's 30 on console.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it was going to be 30 on.
Oh
no,
no.
yeah, no.
Just
So otherwise, people would be a lot more angry.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be a lot more angry.
I still don't know if I care enough.
I just wanted to work.
Sure.
Yeah,
I want it
that's
to be
big.
competently put together, which we'll see.
No, I agree.
I've grown I went from being like, oh, I don't like having to choose between like prioritizing this or that. I'll just play on PC. But now that I'm playing a console game where it's like the choice is made for me, I'm like, wait, no, I like those choices. I don't care about 4K.
Yeah,
because they're
yeah.
like, it's 30 FPS 4K, and I'm like,
Sure.
I don't care about 4K as much, you know?
Yeah, but I think because again, that's where it all starts to depend because it's
Yes.
not because it's
Every-
not just
it's
the
always a case by
exactly.
case.
It's not just the resolution of 4K. It's like the number of things that are going on in this game
Yes.
at once.
The
It's
sandwiches.
It's quite
all
the sandwiches.
So many
yeah.
sandwiches.
It's quite vast, and
Yeah.
again, you compare it to something like Redfall, a much simpler game in terms of the number of things that are happening at any moment, and it's like, well, so that's why it's tricky to talk about,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm not like, I'm not losing my shit over 30 FPS on a console Starfield. You know what I mean? So, but look, I will say as well that I was just really blown away by that presentation. Like, I genuinely was.
Yeah,
I
you
walked
came
in.
out and I was like, wow, look at this guy.
I was like, look, I was ambivalent towards Starfield. I'm like, I think it's going to be fine. I've always said that. But I'm like, wait a second, maybe this could be really fucking cool. You
Yeah.
know, like I really was just, they nailed that. And I'm actually really excited for Starfield now, which I never would have anticipated I would have said. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
they did it.
Mhm.
So
I decided I'm gonna end the game if I'm allowed to.
here we go.
I'm gonna gun down all those space cowboy guys because they look silly. They don't look like they fit in.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't look like they fit in the rest of
Wow.
Starfield.
Right, all the space
And did
cowboys.
you-
Like they look like Fallout 4 guys walking
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
what are you
they
guys
do.
doing?
I agree.
You got a settlement that needs help?
Did you see the comparison shots of like the old cowboy town versus the new one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the visual. I swear to God, Phil Spencer must have just come in there in the last 12 months with like a money hose and just sprayed
Come on,
this
come on,
game
come on.
with all the money. And
It's
they're like, yeah,
like
we can
the
do this now.
Ghostbusters 2 goo
Yes,
hose.
Thanks
exactly.
for nobody references Ghostbusters 2. Thank you.
I'm the one guy that likes
It's so good.
Ghostbusters 2.
Vigo.
Are you
yes.
joking?
It's the Vigo.
I love him.
Why are you okay?
Are you joking? Greg Miller.
Greg Miller likes Ghostbusters 2?
Greg Miller likes Ghostbusters all.
Right, but
We'll have to-
No,
yeah,
he-
but
the typical Ghostbusters fan
they're
will
not as
Oh
keen
no
on
no
the
no!
second one.
Genuinely,
on two,
no.
one is
He
good.
made me watch 2. Yeah,
He
it's fine.
made you.
Yeah, no, genuinely, like Jen had family in town, and he was like, "All right, well, family movie night, let's watch Ghostbusters 2." So yeah, no, it's okay. Greg's
I like Ghostbusters 2 a lot.
One last thing
yeah.
we shouldn't forget is Clockwork Revolution.
I think we're
Oh,
saying
dude.
we shouldn't forget
I'm sorry.
Ubisoft.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
Did you
In Exile.
see the person who edited the original Bioshock Infinite trailers did a side-by-side Twitter thread being
Yeah.
like, watching this Clockwork
Uh-oh.
trailer gave me PTSD.
Oh, right.
Basically, because it was very similar.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's even
I mean,
like a-
you definitely got that vibe for
I mean,
sure.
yeah. I mean,
Sure.
BioClock was what people were
BioClock,
doing, which
that's
was very
great.
good.
But
That's
knowing
great.
that it has like, the Wasteland 3 people's smarts behind it,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
like systems wise, like it is going to be an RPG. They did say that it's a first person RPG, and I like that. I really want to see how much like it can it cash the check it wrote in the trailer where it's like, oh, it's gonna change, the world's gonna change,
Yeah.
and like your decisions, like
Time travel's a fickle bitch. If you're gonna do
that's
it,
Doc Brown said that. I believe
Yeah.
that's the
That's
quote.
the
Yeah.
quote.
quote him. That's what he said. But that's the thing, though, is that like, can they cash that check of getting it done right? That's that's the hard part. Whenever, even like, was it Deathloop? I thought did a pretty okay job for what it was trying to do, but
We don't talk about Deathloop in front of Skilla.
I'm not that
No, I'm
anti-Deathloop.
kidding.
It's fine.
I just think it's one of
Yeah.
those things where if you're gonna do time travel, or rather maybe time manipulation, rather, you gotta thread that needle. It's gotta be
Yeah.
done right.
Yeah.
And I feel like very few games really get it right.
Yeah, it has that going for it, and then it has. It's not really a lot of like big AAA steampunky industrial revolution-y type games.
True.
So,
True.
yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
with that, last event was, or at least at the time of recording this, really was Ubisoft.
Yeah,
Ubisoft
we're not
showed
talking
off a
about
lot.
Capcom.
No, Pragmata. Sorry, rip to the release
Yeah.
date.
Mega Man X Dive and the Apollo trilogy. That's all new that came from
Nice.
and
Dragon's Dogma
Dragon Dogma's
gameplay.
gameplay. But
Yeah.
Please
outside
tell
of
your
that,
friends about Ghost Trick.
Oh, yeah. Ghost
Yes,
Trick. Yeah.
lots of Ghost Trick.
Yeah, sure.
Gerard, would you like to start for Ubisoft? Something that we already talked about Prince of Persia, but
That I enjoyed,
yeah.
or
What'd you think of Mirage?
you know what? I didn't get to actually see that part of the showcase. I saw everything else but Mirage.
Oh, okay.
The showcase overall was the weirdest one out of all of them. There was
You two were there in person, and we
Yes.
were watching.
Oh yeah,
on
the
the
stream was
stream.
borked, right?
it was bizarre.
Yeah.
It was very bizarre. I obviously they have to do the Just Dance starting thing.
Love it.
We have
Never
to.
stop doing
Esport,
it.
Yeah.
please.
Was there a new
It's an
game, or
Olympic
was it just
sport.
like
Yeah,
always.
Olympic
If
esport.
even if you see a dance segment, that means there's a new game.
okay?
Yeah.
That's all the
those-
marketing they need
Yeah.
to do.
It's
Yeah.
so funny that every year we've seen that, but we don't know that it actually means that a new Just Dance is out. So we're just like, oh, they're just having fun. Good on them. Like, that's great.
Welcome
Love
to
it.
the Ubisoft
That's
conference.
right. Yeah.
There's a
of
new
course.
game, but we're not going to tell you.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Brought to you by Just Dance 2024.
Here's what makes us the most money.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I
literally.
think someone online was like, we don't talk about it very often, but there's like that franchise has sold millions and millions and
Yep.
millions, and everyone loves to shit on it. It's like, well, it does well.
They
So
have a really cool TikTok where they show how they actually film the people doing the dances.
Oh, that's
They do
cool.
a lot of behind
Oh, like
the
the
scenes
silhouettes.
Stuff. Yeah.
bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
But yeah, I will say the Blood Dragon anime, for as weird as Eddie Shankar's presentation was, that's really exciting. Just
Yeah.
because
That looked cool.
I know that I'm sure some of the team that worked on Castlevania worked on that, and cheeky references aside, like I think it's gonna be fun times.
It also is like totally different than the actual Blood Dragon. Like,
Yeah.
I like that they just kind of like made some weird quirky thing. I think I would have liked to have seen like Michael Bean reprise his role
Mhm.
Yes.
as like the guy, but
Rex Colt Power.
was that his name? I
I
forget.
think so.
Rex
Yeah.
Colt.
Oh shit. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, not surprised we saw nothing of Beyond Good and Evil 2.
That
Oh,
game
Yeah, we
doesn't
did.
exist.
Star Wars Outlaws. That's it, man. That's what it is.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. They just
Game
repurposed
They
it.
just
Does not
repurposed it.
exist.
Skull and Bones.
Oh.
Sea shanty.
They.
Well, I mean,
that
hey,
was
maybe
cool.
maybe they started planning that in 2020 when everyone became obsessed with sea shanties. For
I'm
a
pretty
while.
sure
Brutal
that.
takedown, Lucy.
I'm pretty
Damn.
sure that they.
That's
worked,
brutal.
Damn.
They
That
worked
was-
hard. They worked hard to not show us anything.
That's right. Yeah.
That was the
that's
game
exactly
they
it.
said we don't want to talk about this game.
But beta
In August.
August,
Yeah, I want to
Not-
play
not
pirate
too-
games. Like, I just make it easy.
Sea of
for me.
Thieves, Monkey Island
Oh,
crossover.
we didn't even talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Bro,
That
I'm
looked cool.
so excited.
that's
for
Next
that.
really
month?
cool.
I'm pumped for it. I definitely felt bad for everyone in the room at the Xbox conference because they saw the Rare logo, then they saw
Yeah.
Lucasfilm, and
That was a trip.
everyone was like,
Yeah.
What
and it's
the
like,
hell?
But I mean, when I first saw the Rare logo, I was like, that's the one from Sea of Thieves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew exactly
Yeah.
what was happening.
True.
I was like,
True.
Lucasfilm, it's
I think that's the light green one. I know that.
yeah.
one.
I was like,
I mean,
I've been here
yeah.
before.
Rare's
yeah.
other project is what, Everwild? So
Yeah,
Yep.
I
Yep.
forgot about Everwild.
Oh yeah.
I think
Everyone's
Xbox
good.
is
State
talking
of
about
Decay
Everwild.
also. I was expecting
State of
that to
Decay,
show up. But
sure.
no.
Oh, that's right, State
Yeah.
of Decay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Star Wars, I think the jury's still out for me. I mean, I eat up Star Wars games, but it seems technically ambitious. It's like you hop in a spaceship, fly away, go up into space, do dogfighting, go land on another planet. Pretty cool. But
Sorry, go ahead.
no, I don't really know yet. Like I guess I haven't seen enough. Like
I that was the one gameplay presentation that after I watched it, I was more confused after I had watched it. I don't know why. Like I didn't understand how the mechanics worked of like ducking over things and shooting enemies.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't very clear. When you see Assassin's Creed gameplay, you know exactly what you're gonna get. You
Yes.
know, I still didn't understand what I was getting.
I agree. In fact, when I did my video, I was basically like, I just feel like so many of the elements in that trailer were very baked.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
rather than being actual game, it just felt like, and it kind of took me back to the original Division 1 trailer back in the day, which, you know, that's a legendary trailer for a bunch of reasons. And so I was very much like, let's just wait and see what this game finally is, because I guarantee you that the final product won't be that. It might be close to that, but it's not going to be that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm like, I like the look of it. There's lots of things about it that kind of ping for me and be like, yeah, I love Star Wars and the bounty thing and the dogfighting and all that, right? But until I can actually see it properly, I'm very much just like, yeah, let's just wait a little bit more. You know?
Yeah.
I love
So-
the little freak.
yeah,
But
Yeah,
other
little
than that,
freak.
Star
commando,
Wars.
the BX commando
Yes.
droid wearing a trench coat is so sick.
Oh,
dude.
that hot droid that everyone's
Yes.
thirsting
Yes.
over.
Yeah.
Hot droid. Sure.
Star Wars is just so hit and miss for me.
Yeah?
You know what? I've just stopped. Like Marvel, I've just stopped.
Sure, I
Stop
get
being
it.
too
You
invested
get
in it.
blasted at
It's okay. You can have your Lord of the Rings. We'll have
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And
yeah,
now
yeah.
I'm having the same problem
That's
because every fucking thing's Lord of the Rings now. We've
Yeah.
got
Oh, that's something we didn't talk about. Return to Moria.
Sure.
Oh,
That
yeah.
I'm
shit-
intrigued by it. So, I mean, at
Yeah.
the time, we were like reacting live and it was Return to Moria. And I was like, when the hell are they going to do that? But then if it's after the events of the War of the Ring, then that could be actually really cool.
Yeah, well, I agree.
I agree. I just think maybe it was just me, but I got Gollum vibes again.
Nope.
Like
no,
Don't invoke that
name.
name.
You got
It-
PTSD.
it just
You didn't even play it.
didn't look impressive. Like the graphics look like the PS2 game again.
But I think as well, though,
yeah.
I'm not.
Maybe I should go
don't
rewatch
know.
the
I'm
trailer,
not
but-
disagreeing. It's not going to be, like the shiniest, biggest thing in the world. But like, if the core gameplay loop is fun and they don't
Yeah.
completely just shit over the property, then I'll be happy.
Yeah, I agree. What else was there?
Where were
Avatar.
we? Avatar.
Avatar.
Far Cry.
Yeah, Avatar.
There was a Far Cry thing?
No, it's
No,
Avatar.
well, yeah,
Oh,
basically.
Avatar,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's.
You
so,
guys have heads?
I like Avatar. I like Avatar. Yeah, I like Avatar.
Respect, man.
No.
It's just
Savak-
like just you and me.
Savako.
Actually,
Yeah.
I
That's
was.
right.
I was
We're the $2 billion right here. 1 billion too. But we just keep seeing it. You know
I
what I
couldn't
mean?
name a single character in the game.
Jake
No one
Sully,
can
Sully.
name
Jake Sully
any-
and the
yeah.
Revolt on Hallelujah Mountain.
No, that's right. They kept saying that, didn't they?
Oh, man.
Well, I was sat next to Jake and then Tam, and then we had Huber from Easy Allies.
Yeah.
And so we were bookended by two Avatar fans.
Right. Got it.
And so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was just basing on your reactions. I was like, okay, that's a big thing.
It's they're making an Avatar game. I like it's a new area, the Western frontier. I like that. It seems like you could just freely jump on your
Your
Ikran?
Ikran?
I don't know.
Ikaru.
You can name
I
it.
know. I
Banshee.
should know. Yeah, Banshee. And or on the ground, you ride your weird horse, your ponytail horse. It seems like moment to moment though, like it did. So my problem is that like as a Na'vi, right? You're very
Are
big.
you saying yourself?
and you're very capable.
Yes, Jake, please speak on behalf of the Na'vi.
I will.
As
I
a
will speak
Na'vi.
on that, right?
Yes.
As a Navi, I know.
My carbon fiber bones.
They highlighted a little bit of like you using jump pads to like jump around and sprint, but like when it was gameplay, it was really just like you're running and sliding and Titanfall 2ing people.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's really it. And I was like, oh, I wanted to like really feel like, but they're going for the story thing where it's like, oh, once again, you are the one Navi who like
could
is
use a
sick with
gun.
an AR-15. Like,
I do,
Oh my God, it's so
I
funny.
do think the way they've written this story is cool. You know, the fact that
Yeah.
you were raised by humans, so you have a foot in both worlds.
It
Sure.
is technically a good spin to see a character like you get to discover the world for the first time, and the
Yeah.
character is, but it's because of unfortunate circumstances where they were ripped from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it'd be cool to fly through that world. It looks sick.
Oh,
looks
The
yeah.
world
beautiful.
reminds me of like a Monolith, like Xenoblade. If they had
Yes.
if they were working on
Yes.
latest gen hardware, they would make
Yes.
Pandora basically.
Right.
Sure.
And so I'm like, cool to fly through that world. I think that looks sick.
Yeah.
I actually really like this. I think it looked nice. Like I was expecting Far Cry Pandora. It obviously is
Yeah.
that, and it looks really pretty. And I like Far Cry games, and I like Avatar. So yeah, sure,
Yeah.
I'll
I
play
do
that game
like
for 25
Far Cry
hours and
games are
then
good
maybe
ones.
never
Yeah.
think about it ever
Sometimes
again.
things are simple.
Yeah,
That's
that's
it.
honestly it.
Yeah.
Like I like the loop of a Far Cry game. I like
Yeah.
going through an outpost. I like liberating it.
Totally.
When I saw
Yeah.
the big blue hand open up a circuit breaker and
Yeah.
I laughed out loud.
Yeah, you did.
It's great.
But I think one of the cooler things was that they said that it's co-op. You can play the whole thing
Yeah.
co-op.
Yes, that's fantastic.
And like I know Far Cry games have been co-op in the past, but for something like that, I was like, whoa, where
Yeah.
you're free diving and landing on your bird and going around these incredibly dense environments. Like
Yeah.
those environments are detailed.
Yes.
Like even when they announced an Avatar game, I was like, how are they going to do that? Just because like
Mhm.
those jungles, the glow in the dark plants, like it's
Yeah.
so much.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, seems sweet.
Do you guys want to throw up?
Oh, Assassin's Creed
Assassin's
VR.
Creed VR,
Yeah.
baby. That's the way to do it. Just
Dude.
put it on and then straight away.
So they said you saw the behind closed doors thing
Yeah,
too.
they said they had.
They
yeah.
were very upfront about the fact that they have been really working to make this game playable for people with VR sensitivities. But I do not think they did a good job of conveying that in the
And the
trailer.
trailer was like, oh
Because as
man.
soon as the
Not a
first
fan
thing
of
you
those
do is you
trailers.
do like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
roly poly, and I was like, oh my god.
Not a fan of those like pre-rendered like this is what it feels like in VR.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't work for me. And then the presentation behind closed doors, we got like screenshots.
Yeah.
I know that was disappointing.
Yeah.
They are excited about like having a new like telling new little stories of those characters and how there's going to be a story that ties that all together. I don't know. I just appreciate that Ubisoft does dump money into VR sometimes and they
Yeah.
try stuff.
I agree.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
but the big thing was Assassin's Creed Mirage,
Yeah.
which I'm pretty like I'm an easy mark because like I've wanted a game like this. I do think like I wish they showed a mission that wasn't just like a side random mission.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, we're gonna show a side mission, not like a big black box assassination mission. And that's like where that stuff is really special. So they just showed more like random shit.
Like a contract, wasn't it? So it
Yeah.
wasn't even.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I did see some gameplay, but I don't know if maybe I'm just too Assassin's Creeded out, but
I get it.
it just looked like a higher res version of Assassin's Creed 1, kind of. Just
Yeah.
in that way of like how you stealthily move and engage. Like even the sequence of like once the execution happens and everyone's like, there he is! Like,
Slow down time. and,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I want though at this point. I was a really big fan of Assassin's Creed up through Brotherhood, and then I kind of fell off at Revelations. 3 was definitely the start of the turn for me, and then I enjoyed Black Flag, but then from there I think they just became so big.
telling you guys, y'all slipped on Syndicate. It's
Oh no,
so
shit! I did.
good.
I
My
no.
man.
I loved
That-
Syndicate. I did love Syndicate.
That Jack the Ripper DLC.
Oh, it was so
Mwah.
good.
I never played it. Damn.
It was
Oh.
no. You should. It's
Oh,
genuine.
dude.
I got the platinum for that, and it was it
The
also
main
drove me
game's
mad.
good, but
Yeah.
the DLC's better.
the Jack the
DLC
Ripper
is
stuff is
so
really
good,
good.
dude.
Man.
It's the whole thing is like, hey, Jack the Ripper isn't actually Jack the Ripper. It's an assassin that
Gone bad.
is fucked up in the head, and
Yeah.
he became Jack the Ripper.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good.
That's
Yeah, and,
awesome.
and he kidnaps one, and the starting beat is he kidnaps one of the twins.
Yep.
So
That's
you
awesome.
you have to basically Batman asylum your way to find
Cool.
what happened to your twin.
It is awesome.
I'm in.
But no, so like those are the games that I really enjoyed because they were more dialed in experiences, and then you get to Odyssey, Valhalla,
Sure.
especially, where it's just there are things about it I liked. I mean, the settings, characters, but I don't enjoy the changes to the combat system.
I agree.
Did not enjoy the lack of focus on stealth. Didn't
Yep.
enjoy just the bloat of the games. And, you know, when you're hearing about Mirage and the fact that, hey, we're approaching this game, stealth is back, parkour, a more dense, close world. I was like, okay, all right, you're getting me back in. I don't know. The one thing I'm interested in, though, is I've fallen really out of the meta story, like all the Abstergo stuff.
The Abstergo stuff is, in my understanding, is almost completely gone.
Except for in the VR game where it's apparently back.
I mean, the VR
As
game makes
the-
sense
yeah.
because they're trying to let you play as all
Yeah.
the assassins, but
But I think at the beginning of the franchise, they tied it in so well with Desmond and
agree.
Lucy.
Yeah,
and
people
they
clowned on it, but I liked it.
I thought it was a really, really clever framing
just-
device. And then it was... it
well,
was-
even in like Black Flag, it's like you're a user. I'm like, welcome to Abstergo. You work there.
You just work
Like,
around a game dev studio.
Yeah. It's a
Oh
game
yeah,
for
that
the
was
game.
funny.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
because as well they had Watch Dogs references in there too. If you go through other people's desktops and look at their emails, you could see references to the folks in Watch Dogs.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like, we're downgrading the graphics. Inside corporate email. No. Yeah, I think the only thing I still want to see is like, I'm happy that it is so like the originals. I like all of those gameplay elements, but like, what is new here? Like, there
Totally
still has to be
agree.
something
Totally
new there,
agree.
and maybe it's the story,
Yes.
maybe it's some gameplay additions. Like, I like that the bird gets told to fuck off if you fly too close to a
That's
place.
nice.
That's
I
like
agree
little
with that.
things.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Put them in their place.
But I'm curious to see like what the main gist is, and for me, it's not that like teleporting attack thing,
Yeah.
that mark
Yeah,
and
yeah,
execute
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Where I was like, what? How does this make sense in the lore? I was very like jammed up about that, but
He's
yeah.
very quick, Jake.
That's what they.
That's what- that was
it's
their
supposed to imply,
explanation.
right?
Yeah.
He
I was
grew
like,
up
I
on
don't
the
want to
streets.
fast forward
He's
the
very quick.
badassery.
Well, and just to be clear, this character is connected to
Valhalla.
Yeah.
because he makes a
would-
cameo in that game.
Yes.
he becomes like he's like a time lord basically.
So
Something-
this
Yeah.
was meant to be a DLC pack for Valhalla. Tam's nodding.
yeah,
Yeah.
initially,
And
yeah.
then it got spun out into a mainline.
Sure.
Which cool, and I like that they said it's a coming of age story. Like we're gonna see Basim
Yeah.
younger and then kind of work his way up, which I love just because like I really like that about Ezio's story. I like
Yes.
seeing him
Yeah.
as like a young like buongiorno,
Brash man.
and then he like becomes
Oh, buongiorno, I met you.
yeah, and then
Yes,
by the end
yes.
he's got a cool beard.
Yeah.
So that's how life progresses.
What's happening with us then, man? What's going on with us?
Trying my best.
I'm there, boys. I'm there.
That's right.
Teach me.
You gain weight and you gain a beard. That's how it
Teach
works.
me.
You just work your way to become Santa Claus, slowly but surely.
Kurt Russell did.
It's true.
So if he can do it,
You know what? If he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah,
I'm right there
exactly.
with him.
I think that's a good note to end on.
Yeah,
Great note to
that's
end
a
on.
good note to end on.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Friends Per Second, episode 23. Thank you for being here. Like I said, next week we're going to be talking Final Fantasy and stuff, and we're going to go back to the normal format. So be sure to hit us with questions at the email friends.
Users at friends.net.gov.
/biz.
It is,
It's contacts at friendspersecond.com.
yes.
Ben made a joke about that earlier, and
Yeah,
I
he
was like,
did,
"Oh,
he
I'm
did.
pretty
Yep.
sure at this
Even
point we
our
know
guests
it."
know
Yeah,
the
he knows the
email,
lore.
and you
Yes.
don't.
Goddamn. So yeah. Thank you guys for listening. We're gonna try and be in person sometimes
Yeah.
because it's fun. This
It
was
is.
really
It is
good.
great.
Yeah.
I
So
stared
nice.
at you the whole time, Gerard, just because you're in my eye line. So I'm like getting really tense.
I
for you.
feel like we had our bond
Definitely.
just got stronger.
Ghostbusters 2. That's what
Hell
it was.
yeah, dude.
But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, watching. Check out our social media because we got clips now.
Yeah,
Clips
man.
channel now.
Yeah, we got a clips channel as well. Just
Yeah.
search Friends Per Second. That's going to be a thing you're going to start to see slowly kind of boiling up.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, just thanks for being with us. Tie your shoes and go to bed.